Hello, arcade gamers, and welcome back to Biggie D's Arcade. Tonight we're doing my 64th Chill and Chat live on a Sunday evening. And like we've been doing every other week, we're having guests on the show. Well, I've got two very special guests for us tonight. I've got James Hates Everything, who has probably the best Arcade1up review out right now on the Golden Tee 3D Deluxe. Good to see you, James. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And we've also got Justin as well. We haven't seen Justin in a while, and I saw him pop up this week, so I'd asked him if he wanted to come on the show, and he accepted. Been trying to get him on my show for a while, so it's good to see you, Justin. How are you?
Yeah, it's good to see you guys too. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Let's say hi to everyone who's made it in the chat so far. Looked like Jason was one of the first people in the chat. He said he gifted Tim memberships. I appreciate that, Jason. That is awesome. One went to Tim, Kevlar's FPV Adventures, Galaga Guy 88, Zero Redux, Science Spirits, Toxin, C North, Console JR Kits. Good to see you. T Prez and Mad Gear Arcade. So appreciate the 10 memberships and supporting the channel, Jason. That's huge and very nice of you to do that. I also wanted to recognize Papa Brad. Papa Brad had super chatted me $2 during my live stream on Friday while I was playing some Pinball FX3. I didn't see the super chat until I ended the stream, so I definitely wanted to recognize him and thank you for that $2 and supporting the channel. I made a super chat video just for you, Papa Brad, so let's run that real quick. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Made that right before the stream.
That's
We've
funny.
also got Carl O here, Kevgret. Good to see you guys. Ritual Dello, Thor KC, Ralphie's here. Good to see you, Ralphie. PD7, Phil's in the house. Good to see you, Phil. All right, let's get started. I don't want to waste much more time. I want to get into these subjects. We actually had quite a bit of news this week, and I want to get all your opinions on this. Let's start first with James Hates Everything's review. He posted this review. What day was that, James?
I think it was Wednesday, if I remember right. Or
And
no, it was Thursday. It was Thursday. My bad.
Thursday. Okay, I watched it as soon as it came out, and when it first released, it wasn't getting a lot of views, but now I saw it's over 1,000 today. So
Yep.
hopefully, it's getting pushed by YouTube and people are seeing it. You want to tell us a little bit about this review and what you found during the review, and want to share that with us?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of what we all expected it to be, right? It's the exact same PCB as Golden Tee XL. It's got at least got the better screen. The trackball seems good. Um, I don't know that I've played it enough to see how good it actually is, but it definitely rolls well. It seems pretty decent. But as most people have pointed out, right, since it's smaller, if you wail on it like I do in some of the shots in here, you're gonna hit the screen. I don't normally do that hard, and to be fair, I actually hit the screen on the real one back in the day quite a bit
Oh, did
anyway.
you?
But if you play it, like you normally would and not try to just really pound that, you're not going to hit the screen. It's more of me just like really wailing on it to show people more than anything.
Have you noticed the trackball is better than? Did you ever play with the XL or the
I did not
original?
play with the XL, but I have some of their trackballs on other systems, and I think it's definitely better than the other ones I have.
Okay,
It
good.
it rolls a lot smoother. It continues to roll, and like I
Mm.
said, it's got that weight to it, so you can actually get the tactile motion out of it. The marquee was good. I mentioned that in the video, right? It's reverse printed, and unlike the X-Men '97, there was no defects in the printing. It's nice and clean, and it does has that 35th anniversary logo. I think that's the one difference between this and the XL, besides the size, is that
Yeah, they
35th
added those
anniversary
two
logo.
logos in
Yeah.
the on the right there,
Yep.
and it's reverse printed, so it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm curious about the pitch on that screen. Do you think it's different than the XL in terms of like the angle in which the screen on that, on the Deluxe?
I I think it looks to me to be the same, but I haven't
Okay.
actually played the XL of exactly up front to know exactly, but I believe it's exactly the same. It
Right. And
There's no fade or anything because it
that's
is
great.
kinda leaning back, which is good.
Yeah.
Um, Always on the splash screen, they have that light there that tricks you, but once it gets past that, it doesn't fade out. It looks crisp, it looks clear from
Right.
all
And
angles.
I had an XL for a while, but it did not come with the screw hole covers. So I had to buy those aftermarket, which was kind of a pain. They didn't fit just right. But I'm curious on, did you have any problems there? I remember like even hitting with a mallet, it just like wasn't precise, but
Yeah, no,
on
these,
the
they do come with it now, right, with all these
Mhm.
deluxes, and they snap right in, so they fit perfect. In fact, I think I've had to work harder to get them in on some of the other ones, like the, Street Fighter 2 than I did on this one. They just went right in. Didn't have to
Right.
press or anything too
What
So
do
hard.
you think
the
about
oh, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Justin.
Yeah, the hand placement. I do notice with the video being up right here that, on that deluxe, I think you're gonna get that shorter
It's
deck.
definitely shorter. Yep.
Okay. How's that feel?
Like I said, I think it's fine. I have hit the screen, and many people pointed out I show it in the video hitting the
Mm,
screen.
Hmm.
But as long as kind of move up at the end of the your stroke, you're not gonna hit it. And a lot of the times, I really use the 2 thumb technique most of the time anyway,
oh, really? Okay.
but, because it's more finesse and a little more control than just wailing on the thing.
Yeah.
But I just played around before we came on the show and was wailing on it and didn't hit the screen once, but that's because I was trying not to as opposed to just
Right.
wailing.
What about that runway? Like, do you
Here's
ever
where
hit
you
the
see that the
There it is.
boom. Yeah, right, and it moves because it's so light, but
Oh, wow. Do you ever hit the base of the control
no,
panel with your palm?
no.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's nice.
So one of the major things that people were talking about prior to its release was it going to have the same games list? Because that email went out and it showed the original Golden Tee, but it was missing the bowling game. So we found out it does have bowling, or no, shuffle shot, shuffle shot. It does
Yeah,
have that, right?
it does. Yep.
Okay, so it's the same PCB as the XL.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think even the title screen's any different like that boot screen. I think it's all exactly the same as the XL is.
Okay, so they haven't changed anything in there. The big improvement is the screen, going from the XL that had that TN screen to
Mhm.
this now BOE, which looks great.
Yep.
It is
Yeah, so that's
17 inches.
really the only difference is now you get a BOE and it's smaller and you get screw hole covers.
In the design of it, like the mold looks almost identical to
Yep.
the XL, just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, that's
And does
nice.
it?
It makes me think that when they designed the XL, they must have designed the XL and the Deluxe. 'Cause I couldn't imagine that they would right now in this economy with Arcade1up in the state that they're in right now, that they would make the investment to design the 17-inch Deluxe version today. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm hoping that's a sign that, you know, they've already done a lot of R&D work in the past and we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, certainly with their split from ThinkUp, who's the one who typically
Mhm.
has designed all these, right? The
Right.
question becomes who's going to design them in the future if they're not together anymore. And so, yeah, hopefully they have a just a big basket of designs that they've already built for these deluxes that they can roll out when they need to. But
Right. Or if ThinkUp did design it already, but they designed it in an Excel format and someone just takes the CAD files or whatever and just
yeah,
goes,
just
"Okay, let me
shrinks
shrink
it a
it."
little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So one of the things too was when this came out, we thought it was going to be a Best Buy exclusive, and then we noticed they had some logistical issues, and it ended up being Marvel versus Capcom 2. Did you guys ever hear? Did people end up getting Marvel versus Capcom 2 in place of
I
Golden Tee?
I think they canceled them all, and then
Mm,
Golden Tee did come up like later. Like I think Golden Tee showed up a couple days ago on Best Buy. But I will
Okay.
say it was out on Wayfair and Nebraska Furniture Mart like a week before Best Buy had them listed.
Yeah.
hmm,
And it was interesting. I was streaming last week and I had taking a screenshot of the Best Buy ad, and I went live, and I didn't notice it was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 until I was already live.
Yeah.
So we figured it out on the show. But I thought that was really interesting because they were promoting it as a Best Buy exclusive, and then it ended up at these other retailers. And then Kohl's came out of nowhere the day after it released with $100 Kohl's cash. So I thought that was the best deal, and I'd shared that on a community post, let everyone know, hey, if you guys haven't gotten your Best Buy one yet, you can cancel, go to Kohl's, get $100 Kohl's cash. There were a ton of people on Reddit who did that, and their wives were happy because they got to use the Kohl's cash. You bought yours from Best Buy, right?
No, I got mine from Nebraska Furniture Mart. That's how I was able to get it before everybody else, because I could just go over there and grab it.
Okay.
So I pre-ordered it like as soon as it went live because I wanted a Golden Tee anyway, because I didn't ever pull the trigger on the XL because of the bad screen and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. I can make a video out of it and get it. And then when I saw that they had shipped from Wayfair, I looked and they actually had arrived in store. So I just changed my date and went and grabbed it.
And you paid $500?
Yeah, I paid full price because
Okay.
it's, Nebraska Furniture Mart. So
Are you going to
really
keep
ever
it? Or?
discount it. Their idea of discounting is knocking a penny off and calling it a sale.
I was familiar with Nebraska Furniture Mart when I lived in Dallas. There was one in the Colony. But
Yeah.
here in Arizona, we don't have them. Are they
Yeah,
in
there's
Iowa?
only 4, I think, in the country. There's the one in obviously Omaha where they started, Kansas City. I think you got 2 in Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We have 2 here in Des
Oh, do
Moines.
you really?
Yeah.
So maybe it's
There's
Des Moines and Texas.
they may have moved it to just one location now. I think they closed one of them.
What was
yeah,
that?
we do have one.
What
here.
was that retailer in Utah that used to always pop up with Arcade1up stuff? I've never heard of them recently. Do you guys remember that one? It was kind of like Nebraska Furniture Mart, but it was like only local to like Utah area. I can't remember what that one's
I
called.
don't-
Maybe someone in the chat can remind us. It's been a while since they've carried anything Arcade1up, so I've never even I've forgotten. But I remember Console Kids. Justin used to do deals all the time, and that was one of the big stores to go to find deals. And now it's kind of more limited. They're in less retailers now, I think, than they were a year or 2 ago.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think about the state of Arcade1up and where it's heading, and what we've seen this year? I mean, I came into this year predicting that they weren't going to make anything new. It was all going to be rehashes in these classic cabs at Walmart. You may get some like new ones in the classic cabs, but otherwise it would just be deluxes of rehashes that we've already seen. What do you guys think about the state of Arcade1up and where it's heading?
Well, for me, I think they're playing it safe. That's pretty clear from 2 releases, and they're both pretty solid bets, right? They know Golden Tee will sell to casuals that want them in their game rooms. They know X-Men 97 is kind of a known property, though I think that one was a little gambling, how well the show would do, but the show was a home run, and it clearly, just the popularity of X-Men, they were selling through those things pretty fast in pre-order. So
yeah, you had told me there were like 3,000 sold or 4,000 something.
yeah,
like
if you
that.
were tracking the 30-day sales numbers, they were doing about 1,000 a month leading up to the launch of the show, and then they sold out for a brief period before they got more ends. Seemed like they were moving them.
And then this Golden Tee, I guess we'll see how well it does. We probably can't tell quite yet, on numbers yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because they've had this exact same cab out in a larger format for 2+ years, right? So, will people even know the difference other than maybe it's slightly less expensive? But Nebraska Furniture Mart has both, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into Nebraska Furniture Mart, are you going to buy the bigger one or are you going to buy the smaller one? Are they going to take one of them off the floor? Because one of the cool things about Nebraska Furniture Mart, if you haven't seen those videos, is they have a giant game room that they build for Arcade1up, so people can envision what it would look like in their house if they did it. It's pretty unique and impressive, but
Yeah, Nebraska Furniture Mart has a great setup and display for their Arcade1up. So it's impressive what they've done.
That's really nice. They were at the Iowa State Fair the last, I think, 2 years, and had if you've ever gone to a state fair, they usually have just what is it called, like a vendor room. Kind of feels like you're at a con and all the little vendors are there. And Nebraska Furniture Mart was there for the last 2 years, and it was just all Arcade1up. They had like, I don't know, maybe some other items there, but the big attraction was Arcade1up items. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they
I
did the
think,
same thing at Planet Comic Con this year. The Nebraska Furniture Out was out there all with a bunch of Arcade1ups. Now Iowa State Fair, like that's the best state fair in the country, by the way. You can get 150 things on a stick. Like if you guys have never been, it's awesome.
Texas
Yeah,
State Fair
Got
used
the
to be
big butter
great.
cow every year. You know?
about that, I used to talk to people at like vendors there, and I'm like, "What's the best state fair?" And they'd say, "So Iowa's great, Minnesota is also great." They said,
Yeah, I've heard that one's really good.
and then Florida is what I heard was great. And these are
Is-
people that go to the different state fairs as vendors, so that's pretty interesting.
They have like the car shows and the rides, but food is always big, isn't it, at all these fairs?
Yeah, I mean that's like the big attraction is it's like all the what is it like? There's a midway basically, and then to the sides of the midway is just all food, and that's why we go. It's
Yeah.
all crazy
yeah.
food.
Like the Texas State Fair, it's all like fried, like peanut butter and fried
Yeah.
pickles, and like anything you can fry, they'll do it there. And that's the
That's right.
big deal in Texas.
Yeah, and
it's
like
pretty good.
Iowa has that. They built a stadium for the concerts and stuff. It's so impressive. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like I love going the Budweiser tent, which is not really a tent, but
Yeah, so I had talked to Phil. I was going to ask him to come on the show early this week, and he had declined because today's Mother's Day. He wasn't able to make it, but he had wanted me to ask you a question, James, because I think you have like some inside source with Arcade1up, or maybe you know someone that knows something. I don't know exactly the details, but he said that you know of maybe a potentially 2 new cabs by the end of the year that could be new cabinets, like new releases we've never seen before.
so that was all speculation. So I have a couple sources in Nebraska Furniture Mart, but that is like about, or not, sorry, Costco. I said Nebraska Furniture Mart because it's on the brain. At Costco, and you know they both have kind of differing information, but the stuff from Arcade1up was not any inside information, just pure speculation based on their current marketing strategy of piggybacking on major events, right? They announced Golden Tee the week of the Masters. They lined that show up with X-Men '97. They did Fast and Furious with the the release of Fast 10. They did, what was it, Evo with the Street Fighter 2. So it's kind of, you can kind of guess like, hey, there's opportunities here for them to do things like the Olympics, or to do Street Fighter 3 with Evo, since that's the main game this year. It's at Evo, and there's a lot of things that they could tack on if you're Cyrus, right? Who likes that stuff.
Now, Aliens is coming out at the end of this year. Do you think that could potentially push them to do the Aliens versus Predator cab finally?
I think that's what they were shooting for, right? Alien Romulus, and I keep saying Requiem because I always forget the name, but it's Romulus.
And it's
right?
owned by
And-
Disney now.
Yeah, and so it's their kind of great marketing time, and Alien and Predator obviously is an IP stores recognize, right? So if you're going to get them to bite on something new, that's one they may go to, because they know you can't walk into a Target or Walmart and not see all those NECA Alien and Predator toys all over the place, right? So they know it's a known property for them, that where they may be tempted to carry it, but that might have their best opportunity of a new one. But
I wonder too
If
if
they do a new
the
one.
delay in them leaking it or announcing it is they want to see how well the sales go on these earlier cabs like the Golden Tee and the X-Men '97. Once they see some success there, maybe they, then pull the trigger and, at least announce it or give us some information on it. Because it kind of feels like if they don't tell us something soon, like in the next 60 to 90 days, they're going to miss the window for the holiday season. What do you think about that? Do you think they could not tell us and then just surprise us at the end of the year?
Well, I think unless a retailer blows it for them, which happens, right? Their strategy, at least the last 2 years, has been not to announce it until it has arrived, right? So that they're a couple weeks out from shipping when they say, "Hey, it's available now," right? So, if they do one of these things, I don't think they're going to tell us till it's right upon us.
Yeah.
And they would have to know by now if they're doing it, right? Because if it takes 12 to 18 months through all the planning, development, and shipping to get here, like, they're not gonna make any decision today to ship something in October. It's already getting produced right now. So
Hmm.
they know what's coming out for the rest of the year, and it's probably not gonna change 'cause they lose a bunch of money if they pivot too much at this late date.
In the Olympics, that's in July, right?
Yep, that's soon.
So that track and field rumor or speculation, that we should hear something really soon if that's going to happen.
Yeah, you'd think, and so it's probably, highly unlikely at this stage, but
Hmm.
you never know.
Unless the other theory of like you only know about it just 2 weeks before, because I mean, I think John D not being in the company, he was the source of most of the leaks
Oh,
and
yeah.
probably the source of like getting the retailers to leak. And now I would imagine with him not being there, they have a little bit more control. There's still that possibility that some of the retail leaks were accidents, and accidents could happen at any time. But I think those are pretty good theories. Like they've always wanted to do that. It's they used to use this phrase of riding the nostalgia wave, and I wouldn't imagine. I would imagine that wave that they're talking about is also marketing waves. Like how do we line up a release to something else so we don't have to invest so much money on Arcade1up doesn't have to invest so much money on marketing. They can just kind of ride an existing wave.
And they've been doing a
I
lot
was
of
thinking
that.
about that. I would imagine if they do Alien versus Predator, then we're just going to see it in an existing form factor, right? That's how you would do it. You'd only really have to pay for someone to do the art package and get the approval from the Disney side. And I would imagine that I can't remember what. Do you guys remember which company owns the Alien side? Because
That's
it's not
Disney.
Disney.
What's
It's either like
Fox, which is owned by Disney.
I thought there was another company. Like, so do you guys remember there was a company in the like 80s and 90s? So Disney created. So Disney is known for like, G-rated movies back in the day. And
Hmm.
sometime in the 90s, 80s and 90s, they were like, crap. We should like make rated R movies too. So they created another company.
Yeah, like
I just can't
Miramax and
remember off.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm unsure
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
like another offshoot. But my point is that side of the business for that owns Alien, they're not into like watering down, making things less violent.
Hmm.
They're all about sexuality and violence because they're like, we're not under the Disney brand, we're under what I just can't remember the name of the brand off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're both. When I Googled, they both just say 20th Century Fox, but
It must be, yeah, Touchstone. That's it,
Touchstone.
Jason.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about. That was the brand that I think Disney owned a long time ago, and that's how they got away with making like risque movies. They just created another brand.
Yeah. And you were talking about too how they're like pushing this with less marketing or less money for marketing by using these other events and movies and things like that. I saw another reel come up this week of Fast and the Furious, and it was at the Formula One racing in Miami.
yeah,
Did you guys see that?
yeah, they had Michael Andretti playing Fast and Furious at his event at that race.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So they're working
Yeah, they had
behind the
it done.
scenes. They're doing some work, but it's not geared towards us like the community. It's more geared towards like a wide audience out there: sports fans, movie fans, comic book fans.
Yeah,
They're not marketing to us, the home arcade
Yeah,
community.
I truly feel that David McIntosh. Well, I can't remember. So David McIntosh used to be the head of marketing, but I think he has a different title now. Like I don't think he has that role anymore. But generally speaking, I think they have that attitude, and a lot of companies have that attitude. I've heard the same thing, that there's no need to market to your customers. It's
Hmm.
like the
Yeah,
weirdest thing ever. They're like, they're gonna buy it anyway. Like
yeah,
you could do a soft launch and never advertise it and only update the website. Your core fans are gonna find it. So don't waste any money on like marketing, whether it's Google ads or whatever, to the customers you already have. The theory is you spend all your money on trying to market to new people.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I used to work for cable companies, and it was always frustrating. It was that same concept where you would see all these marketing deals. You sign up now, you get the first 3 months for 50%. And it's like, well, what about all your loyal customers? Sorry, you don't get any deal. So it's
You
basically
pay
the
full
same
price.
concept. That's right.
Yep.
Gallagher guy just sent over $4.99. He said, wanted to support and show some love to everyone here tonight. Thanks for another great show with about 3 glasses of whiskey, it looks like. So I appreciate that, Gallagher guy 88. I've got a beer tonight, no whiskey for me, but I'll drink with you. And we'll run a super chat. And since we're talking Predator, I'll do a super chat for Predator. So, guys, on some other news with Arcade1up, this was involving Apple. And just so everyone's up to speed on what we're going to be talking about, I'm going to run the video and I'm going to mute the volume because it's got some music and it's copyrighted. So let's watch that real quick. Let's get that up on the screen here. He put it down and started playing a Pac-Man arcade right after that, basically saying, I'm bored of the iPad. I want to play a retro arcade game on this arcade cabinet instead. I thought that was great marketing. I thought that was a great job of using something that could have negatively hurt them and then turning that around and making that a positive impact on, promoting their company. What did you guys think about that ad and what happened with that?
Well, the first time I saw the reel, or their Instagram reel, before I saw the ad, and I was like, what are they thinking? Right? It seemed really odd that they were putting this video out about games being interrupted by commercials and go play Arcade1up. But then I saw the Variety article about the ad, and it's like, oh, okay, now it at least makes sense what they were doing. So maybe they should have incorporated that some way, but to explain it, that was a response video. But it was pretty interesting, and honestly, it's great for them, right? Because they're probably getting more publicity off of that ad and the articles about that ad than they've had, from mainstream press in a long time. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even seen that probably until someone pointed it out. It's like it's hard to tell what that is until you really know, and then you can see it. It looked like a Mortal Kombat Legacy cabinet that they just put Space Imploder on, of all games.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. There's a couple different angles to this. Like, I'm imagining that some executive at Arcade1up or something, maybe their board of directors saw it and was like, go, go, go. This is an opportunity to ride some viralness. And so they quickly press record on some cell phone. So they have improved with their cell phone video. It probably was just a couple cameras set up on it. And then someone did some decent editing. There was some zoom in effects. I noticed that on Arcade1up, not too bad. But the comment section from Arcade1up fell on deaf ears. I don't think they got it, and probably because it wasn't a good joke. That's what my wife always says. Like, if no one's laughing and you have to explain the joke, it wasn't a good joke. Because I remember reading, because it was kind of a sponsored reel, and reading people say, okay, so your big marketing pitch is your arcade has no ads. Okay. So, but also at the same time, if you go over to Apple, I think I get what they were trying to do. I mean, I don't think they were actually trying to be mean towards musicians or arcades. They were just trying to say, look, all of these physical things are inside the iPad. And that's true. Come on, we all know. We have an iPad and be like, yeah, the technology that Apple or even Google or anyone who's put into tablets has enabled us to carry around on our phone or a tablet things that would fill an entire room. And probably the marketing folks were like, it plays games. Oh yeah, take an Arcade1up. We'll have to, put some fake game on it, of course, but yeah, and then we'll smash that. And I don't think they were saying destroy it.
Mhm.
If you look at the shape of that iPad, it's the shape of the shape of the machine that's crushing. It's like the shape of an iPad, right? They're saying
Yeah.
it's squeezing it. They're pretending like they're literally squeezing all of that inside an iPad. But it just came across as you're destroying
Destroying it, yeah.
creativity. But they were like,
They don't want
we're
to see.
sorry, we
They
didn't
don't
mean
want to
that.
see it getting smashed. You know, if they could have done that same idea and gotten that point across without actually showing it get smashed, that would have worked better, I think.
And I
Right.
think their big selling point on this iPad is it's the thinnest one ever, right? So it's
Right.
like, look, we're all this stuff in this one tiny thin device, and people get offended at
Right.
everything. So people looked for
That's
a
right.
reason to be mad about it.
And if they were going to destroy an Arcade1up, I think the Legacy Edition was probably the best one. Those were the worst.
Let's be real. They wanted to smash an arcade, and they bought the cheapest one they could find. Is the reality of the
Yeah,
situation.
you could get those for
right?
like 150, 200 bucks now. I
Yep,
think
or-
Ollie's has them for 150 right now.
Or James, you can look at it another way. They were like, the company obviously they probably hired some company to shoot that footage, and they're trying to find different things to put in there, and they may have thought of a real arcade like a Neo Geo, and they're like, no, don't do that. It might break our machine that's doing the smashing. Use an Arcade1up. That will not destroy it.
Yeah, the particle board will smash easily. We'll use that.
That's right. That's right.
We gotta find one of those will it blend channels and see if Arcade1up will blend.
Exactly. Although that video was kind of cool when it showed the paint falling. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
yeah,
was cool.
That's kind of cool.
So I did want to transition, guys, now to AtGames, kind of move out of Arcade1up into AtGames. There's been a lot of talk about this lately, this new Zen table that just released this week. It went for $5. And just to ask you guys, I know, James, you have the 4K pinball, but do you have this one, Justin, the new one?
No, I've
Okay.
been holding back because it's kind of one of those. I'm interested in getting it, but I'm worried. I'm just worried they won't ever fix the problems. And I didn't pre-order it because I was uncertain it was going to be a great machine.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I kind of am glad that I didn't run out and get it because they are still working out quite a few issues with the flipper lag and these Zen tables. They just, from what I'm hearing, they just don't run great. Where all the other tables seem to run great, but Zens do not. And I think that's probably why it went for $5. Do you because it was supposed to be 15. Do you think, James, that is why they dropped the price so low? Is it's just not ready for?
So I think the
game
ones that have multiple games in them are 15, and then the
Mhm.
ones that have a single table are 5.
Okay.
So I think like the Snoopy was $5.
So the
this
Star
one's
Trek, the
$5.
next generation, will be 5.
Yeah, because I think that's the only one in there. But the last group that had 3 was 15,
Okay.
and so
So the
and I
5
think
is
you'll
just
see
going to be the
15 on
price.
the Godzilla ones at the end of the month. Those because that has like 3 or 4 tables, so 15 or 20 depending on in there.
Okay.
Now, if you don't mind, I do want to address something like Kevin Clausen saying I have real pinball machines, so I don't need this. But keep in mind, like the Attack from Mars, Medieval Madness, they're pretty expensive machines. So even the 2017, 2016 remake, the Chicago Gaming remake, I've been, I'm kind of obsessed with prices, so I like to look that stuff up. And recently, the Attack from Mars used has just kind of dropped below $10,000 just on a real Attack from Mars.
Mhm.
And then the LEs, they're still like $17,000. Like, so there's kind of like a standard Attack from Mars and then more expensive. Those are the remakes. Both Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars are very expensive machines. And so Chicago Gaming Company perhaps is going to make some more Medieval Madness machines, like new in the next year or two, but that's been rumored for a long time. And if they do it, it may be a $9,000 or $10,000 machine, brand new, which would be great because the used versions of the higher end ones are like 17 grand, right? And so when you're battling with that and you go, look, there's a virtual option of some of these classic games in 4K, if they were lag free, and it's only like $1,500. Why wouldn't you do that? Because
Hmm.
again, Attack from Mars, Medieval Madness, Cactus Canyon, those like top kind of Bally Williams era games, if you can get and they play well, you just save $30,000,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so that's exactly why I'm interested in the AtGames Legends machine, because Zen holds some titles to some. Now, keep in mind, these prices are high. That also means your local arcades are not likely going to have them. And so there is a local arcade here in Des Moines that does have a kind of a limited edition Attack from Mars remake, and it's great to play, but it's like $14 admission to get into that place, where I can go spend like $5 at another arcade that's just dropping quarters in there. And so it's kind of like a more expensive experience to get access to some of these games in my area. So it'd be awesome to have a virtual option.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun playing the Pinball FX3 tables. I'm playing those on my AtGames Legends Ultimate with the pinball buttons, and I'm just
Mhm.
having such a great time doing that. It makes me want to go out and get this pinball table even more because I know I'm going to use it a lot. Like my Legends Ultimate is like my workhorse. It's what I play most of all my home arcade gaming on. 95% of the time I'm in front of that AtGames Legends Ultimate. So I know if I get the 4K pinball, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it a lot. And I'm going to do all kinds of things with them. I'm going to do the OTG mode. I'm going to hook a PC up to it. That'll open up even more games. So it's a no-brainer that I'm going to get this. It's just when am I going to get it? Am I going to pay full
Right.
price, or I'm going to wait for a sale on it and get a deal? That's the decision making I'm in right now. And also, I
Right.
want to see the flipper lag. There is an issue with this flipper lag. They've discussed it. They said they're working with Google. They're also working with Epic Games on trying to figure this out. And I thought it was a stretch that they were going to be able to make these games work on this single board like this, because Pinball FX, you have to have a pretty beefy PC with a pretty decent graphics card to be able to run Pinball FX. So I was wondering how they were going to be able to make this work. And come to find out, it doesn't work. They're going to have to figure it out. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on like where this is going to go and how long it's going to take before they fix it?
Yeah, I mean that's who knows, right? It depends on there are if you're Zen, right, you're probably I don't want to say you're totally focused on that because clearly they're releasing other games in their main platforms. But I'm sure there's a team that's specifically assigned to this project that is solely focused on fixing the lag at this stage, as much as they can. Um, for me, like I pre-ordered the thing because I got the HD one so cheap. I bought that when Sam's Club was blowing it out, and so I justified it in my mind. It's like by the time I get both of these, it's like paying $700 for each one, and they had different game sets on it. So I figured, oh, I'll just keep the ones that are on the HD, and I'll keep it, and then I'll add the 4K ones. And really, what I want is the Zen tables. That's the only reason I bought it, is to
Mm-hmm.
play those virtual pins, and I know I can do it OTG. I have one hooked up to my HD, but I still don't play those very often because then you got to turn the PC on, and I know it's just lazy, right? So it's about
Mm-hmm.
convenience for me, and um, and I'm a pinball noob, so I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. So, but the lag is noticeable. It's significant, especially on the newer tables, right? It's really noticeable on Attack from Mars. I mean, you can almost count 1/1000, from hitting the
Mm-hmm.
button to when it moves.
And I
Um,
heard it's kind of hard to get up the ramps too. It's like it's not right as
yeah,
far as how strong it hits the
I
ball.
first started noticing in the Snoopy table that the physics seem off,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes you'll hit it and it'll go so fast, like you can't even keep track of it. And other times you'll hit it, but seemingly the same exact way, and it barely like moves.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, like the ball will be moving and then it'll shift oddly. And you'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, well, that's weird. And so not knowing the real Attack from Mars enough, like the first night I was playing it, there were many times where it's like, is there a magnet? Like some pins have magnets in it, right?
Yeah.
That pull it to a side or left. There was a noticeable like movement of the ball where it should be coming straight down and will suddenly like curve to the right. And it's like, well, that doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't know if that table even had that, and it doesn't sound like it does. So there's
think
clearly
so.
some physics off on that table as well. It's still playable. I don't want to act like it's like totally not playable. I was having a blast. It's by far the best one they've released so far of
Hmm.
the tables that are out there. It's really fun to play, but it is it's operating funky.
You
Is
haven't
the best
played
way to
Next
describe it.
Generation yet, have you?
I've played the real table long ago, but I haven't played a virtual version of it yet. No,
Okay.
it
I'm
comes out.
hearing,
That comes out Wednesday, right?
yeah, that comes
Yeah.
out soon. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it is coming up very soon for you guys. And now, if you have the Star Trek table, you already have it. And from what I'm hearing is people that have that table, they're saying it plays the best of all the Zens. So
Okay.
hopefully they've got at least some games that run well, and they can perfect these other games over time. I did see a video this week too online on a Facebook group that I thought was really cool. There's a lot of customization you can do with these as well, a lot of tinkering and customization. But I thought this attract mode was really cool. So let's see this. So you can do all this like customization and do your own attract modes, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that and being able to do that?
I think it's pretty neat. I got to figure out how they did that. That I think honestly, I think your video is the first time I've seen it. I haven't spent too much time on their Facebook page or anything, but I mean that's clearly uh, the Adams Family table. So it's not the one that comes natively with that attract mode. So
Yeah, I've been
yeah,
seeing a lot of that. People changing the back glass, making it animated rather than it just being, static image. So I think that's really cool. I think that would keep me busy while they're working on this lag fix. I could be playing around doing all this kind of stuff. So, and also I'd be doing a lot of OTG. I've got that set up on my ALU already, so I'd be doing that a lot too, and playing the FX3 tables.
and as you noted, the other tables, all the non-Zen tables work perfect. So there's
Mm.
no lag, no, or if there is lag, it's not noticeable at all. And so they play really well. They're just, oh, other than maybe some of the real Zachariah tables, they just don't appeal to me. And I have most of the Zachariah tables on my other one, so
Hmm.
I wasn't gonna re-buy them. If they ever
Do they
come out
they
with a
play better?
discounted upgrade, I might do it. But
So like the Zachariah table, for instance, or the Zachariah tables, do they look and play better on the 4K?
I, you know, I think they play well to me. I don't, like I said, I'm a noob at it, so
Hmm.
I don't have enough of a background to say they play better or not. Because
Oh, okay.
I can't really tell.
They look about the same to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I did also see this on the Facebook groups this week. This is the official AtGames Facebook group, so I'm surprised they allowed this. But this guy posted this, and he's like, "Works for me," and he's like put something over the back glass. I'm hearing a lot of people commenting on this too, saying they're having issues with the reflection coming off of that back glass being too bright. Can you adjust the brightness of the back glass?
Yeah, I think isn't there a switcher on the back where you can select three different levels of the light on the back.
Is that for the topper though, or the actual screen on the back glass?
I believe that's for the screen. The
Oh,
topper
okay.
has its own thing. Or
Okay.
maybe it is just the topper now that you think about it. Now that you
Yeah,
say that, I think
I
it is
thought it
just the
was the
topper.
topper that
Yeah,
you could turn off, and there was like a low,
yeah,
medium, and high. But the actual screen, like the back glass that we're seeing that's covered up in this image, I'm not sure if you can adjust that without doing
yeah.
your own modifications.
Hmm.
Um,
I have to wonder
so
how the lighting is in their room because I certainly don't notice the reflection. I mean, it's probably there, but it's not enough that it distracts me.
okay,
And I haven't tweaked any of those settings. In fact, I leave the topper at the brightest light anyway.
okay, so it's not bothering you. It seems like that's based on preference of the individual. Some people aren't liking it. Some people it doesn't bother them at all.
For
So
sure,
that's interesting to hear.
what I think they should do on the Stern machines, it's not like that. I have three different uh, company machines, so Bally Williams, an American Pinball, and then Stern. And Stern seems to have the best settings, so you can control the light from the back glass for when the machine is in attract mode, but you can also control the lighting for when the game is actually in play. And so what I've done is the attract mode, when the game is not in play, it's a pretty bright translight behind there. But once you press start, it goes from like 100 to 12. That's what I have mine set at. It's really low setting. So you'll see the entire back glass just dim. And if you're staring at the actual glass on the machine, the glare is there and then it disappears. And so when you're actually playing the game, there's basically no glare. And so really simple setting, right? It would make sense to even do that on the AtGames where you separate versus when the game is not in, the game's in track mode,
100%.
and then say, oh, I want it to be at like 10, or some low number once I press start. And
Yeah, that would be
I don't
nice.
think there's any better way to do it,
That would be great. I also, guys, had asked Wagner's Tech Talk to come on the show prior to asking you, Justin, and he had said he doesn't ever live stream, but he did send me a long response on AtGames because I had asked him about, like what's his opinion on, AtGames and, how well does he like his 4K pinball? What does he think about this Legends Ultimate 4K that's coming? And this was his response, so we can read it together. He said, there's nothing else like the ALP 4K on the market. At this price point, it is a high-quality product that has much improved new UI, impressive hardware, SSF is amazing, most tables play exceptionally well, and you will always have the option to add from a virtually unlimited selection of tables via OTG. There are some growing pains, as we had mentioned by AtGames and Anna's Zen Studios interview, and Zen is working hard on that. One thing I can personally say is I've noticed with each new table release, the latency issues have improved incrementally, but there are improvements that are still needed. It's Zen's priority to get this resolved, and I'm looking forward to seeing that behind us, and we all are. And as far as the Addams Family, the Star Trek, and the Attack from Mars, he plays those frequently. As far as the Legends Ultimate 4K P cabinet, the design looks nice, but I prefer the new design. He does prefer the new design over the ALU HD version, but he does love his ALU 1.1 and he plays it a lot. We're already very familiar with the CE 4K UI, and that's a good idea on what to expect. So, because we know what the UI looks like on the pinball table, he's basically saying that's going to pretty much translate almost identical to the ALU probably, giving you an idea of what that UI will look like. And then the navigation is clean. Beyond that, he knows very little, and he looks forward to finding out. So even Wagner knows very little about this ALP 4K. And then that, statement on the 4K pinball, I thought was spot on. It's like for the money, like you had said, Justin, for $1,500, that's amazing value for what you're getting, even with the problems with Zen that they seem that they're going to figure out, or they have a plan to figure out. Right. What are y'all's thoughts on that response from Wagner and what he shared with us?
Honestly, I don't, it's kind of said what we kind of know already, right? That the Zen tables have lag, still don't work right. I don't know what to think about the new 4K ALU. I still struggle to find a purpose for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing retro arcade games on it. You don't really need the 4K. It'll still work, right? You can upscale it. So really, what are you going to play on it? I guess maybe if they start getting more modern games, that'll let them do that. But other than that, it's just for bringing your own games would be the only real benefit. So I struggle with that product. I just don't understand what they're trying to accomplish with that one myself. But
yeah, I guess just to answer that question for you, James, on that, I think what they're trying to accomplish here are a few things. They want to get that new marquee in there because the bit LCD marquee, they want to get that into the product stock, so it's not like an aftermarket part. They also want to get the 4K screen in there. They want to get the new board in there, and they also got this license with Killer Instinct, so they can't run, I don't think they can run Killer Instinct on the HD, but we did get some news on that today as well, or this week on that as well. So I think that's what they're trying to accomplish. They're just trying to advance this product. You know, they've been in the ALU, the one that I have, the 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 now for a long time. It's been 5-6 years they've had that product. So I think they're just trying to do their next version of it.
Yeah, and I think that's good. This is a great opportunity to, rethink their entire design, go back to the drawing board and say, if we could do it all over again, how would we do it? And that's what they did. So they're like, let's start over and do everything 4K and above. James, you make a really good point. Is this satisfying customer needs? Is this what we've asked for? I've been wondering about that before, where I take a look at the retro console gaming era, and in the last year they have introduced 4K. Think of the RetroTink 4K as a solution to upscale. And there's been a lot of hype around, can we get a higher quality out of like things like a Nintendo 64? Like, we're kind of getting into that era where like, ooh, it'd be really nice to get 4K native retro upscale without any lag. And so you could say there's some opportunity there to look at the AtGames Legends product. Maybe it'll work, because I've been debating on this. I think it's a 27-inch screen, so it is a larger screen, and you are much closer to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that close proximity, maybe you would notice the quality increase. But for the most of us that enjoy that product, at least those in the 30s and 40s, are probably like, well, I want to play those old retro games they're not 16:9, they're 4:3. So I guess there's bezels on the side, so the real estate is sacrificed. I mean, I remember talking to PK directly about this, and he was adamant that the future of AtGames is a 16:9 product, and I disagreed with that. And I said, I think what you could do is find opportunities to work with manufacturers to bring in larger 4:3 screens and try to fill that space. And his explanation was they want to be able to leverage the technologies that they create so that it's modeled something that works on your television and also works on their arcade product. So that's why it's 16:9. And that's fair. They're trying to take advantage of it. But the fact is, Wagner is bought by AtGames, and his comment started with the marketing pitch at the very beginning that it's kind of funny. He's a tech guy, but for some reason his very first sentence is all sales. So I question that, and I think I have the right to question that. And so he's trying to elevate the product that he's sponsoring, right? And he's trying to give excuses of why he's trying to point the blame at Zen, which appears to be everything AtGames is saying. And I'm a little frustrated with that, because I don't own the AtGames Legends 4K. The thing that's preventing me from purchasing it is them coming out with a product that everyone has raving reviews about. And I have mixed signals from the company and those that support. There are some people that own the product, and I've seen those reviews on Facebook where they say, I don't see any problem, it's working great. But then I see a whole bunch of comments that says, I'm disappointed with the product that I purchased because it's not delivering on my expectation, and I've owned it for several months. And so I'm wondering, I think I have the right to wonder, when the AtGames Legends ALU 4K comes out. I mean, I don't think it'll have issues because it's not Zen, right? And it's retro games that we're talking about. But is there going to be something that they just miss, because this company has a reputation of missing very important things?
So what's the size of the screen of the current ALU? Is that like 26?
24. 24, I think.
Because I know the big thing that they've said that they're keeping it the same scale, right? So that you can use the same control panels and you can use the same marquees, right? So they're not innovating in that space at all. They're basically giving us the same cab. They just kind of squared the top, right? And so I guess they're just going with something with a smaller bezel to get a larger screen size.
They've included a coin door on this one also.
Yeah. as of right now, the mock-ups is the little tiny corn door from the ALP. So
Yeah, hopefully they fix that or take it off.
Have they announced a price yet for the new
no, but I would
No.
imagine it's gonna be really expensive, right?
I
It's
think
gotta-
1,000 probably is what I'm guessing.
or 1,200 if not more.
I know they probably want to get it under 1,000 is what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you guys are saying with this, and there's a lot of questions behind it. I think we have even more questions now too, because it was supposed to be a pre-order and they pulled the pre-order, and now they're just saying we're going to ship it in November and you guys can buy it. It's like, why did they make that decision? Was there something based on that we don't know about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Justin, if you told me they partnered with RetroTink 4K and we're going to have all those great filters to emulate, console games on there or whatever, then I'd say, hey, it's worth paying extra because they will look fantastic.
Mhm.
But there's no way they're going to have that technology in that cab. So it's just going to be upscaled, especially if you're talking $1,000. It's not going to have really high-end stuff in it.
Yeah, I will tell you guys though, I do play my AtGames Legends Ultimate a lot. Like I said earlier in the stream. So that does lead me to want to go get this one. Is that I know it'll get a lot of use. But like any purchase, I always have a lot of questions, and I want those questions answered before I spend my money. So it's still a long ways out probably for me before I get this. But I always like discussing it and figuring these things out.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I will say, I had chatted with PK many times, many years ago, and there was a period of time that I was using my networking to introduce PK to people that were working on FPGA products, and I know that there was some interest there. And to your point, James, where you're saying, oh, if they were working directly with those people and they came out with a product, you would be really, really excited about that. That's what I was trying to do while I was helping out PK on some stuff.
Yeah, if they said this thing has Mr. Cade in it and a 4K, a RetroTink 4K to get it up there, it's like, wow, now we're talking, some pretty cool stuff. But
I know there was some exploration on could you price an FPGA product and sacrifice some gates where you could still get 99% of all the retro games to run on an FPGA at commercial scale, but reduce the costs by kind of shifting some of the technologies to software. Basically, if you think about it, you take like a general purpose FPGA device and say, how do you commercialize it? Well, what's causing it to be expensive, and how do you get that price down? So any company that would be reviewing that idea, they're all going to be talking about the same thing. And so it just obviously years later, it didn't happen. And I wasn't part of those further discussions to see it come through. If I were to guess, because this is pure speculation, those roads there was roadblocks, because it's like, okay, at some point someone's going to ask, great, you're going to spend all this extra money to do hardware solution instead of software solution for retro gaming. Is anyone going to care? James will buy one and I'll buy one. Maybe Biggie D buys one, but no one else will be like, oh, what is an FPGA?
Yeah.
And there's other, you go look at the FPGA scene, like the Mr. Cade itself. If you want a Mr. Cade in AtGames Legends Ultimate, then buy a Mr. Cade and put it inside of an AtGames Legends Ultimate. It's probably the right answer.
Yeah,
right?
I think a lot of
people. It would be
people.
cool if these companies did that, though.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
with
thinking
AtGames.
about
Go ahead.
getting the Unico just to plug in my analog pocket, right? Because
Why not?
it's got all those FPGA arcade, systems on it, so you can go crazy on it.
Mike of All Trades is in the chat. He said the Legends Ultimate 4K is starting to get close to the Vulix Chulix prices, though. Here's hoping that nothing gets damaged in shipping. You're right. When it gets up to that 1,000, you can now get, the Unico Nova Blast, or you could actually go get the real thing for like another few $100. So
it's absolutely the right question, because think about it, right? If you're in that price range anyway, and then you're like, well, I'm probably going to OTG the ALU.
Mhm.
Wait a second. So you're bringing your own computer? Just get the Unico and bring your own computer, right? If
Yep.
you're gonna throw away their computer anyway,
Yeah.
then might as well have a better form factor. So I'm hoping that they don't go north of 1,000, because I think if they do come out with the ALU at $12.99, people are going to be like,
Yeah.
at that price, 10% more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you're already at $12.99, 13, 14, 15 actually doesn't look that much more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's a big difference between $2.99 and $3.99. But the difference is less when it's $12.99 to $13.99.
Yeah,
You know,
because
even though they're both $100.
You're more so financing or in that kind of situation when you get into that price where 300, 400, you're just paying cash or you're spending money straight out of your bank account typically. So there's more thought process, and when you have to go through all that, a few $100s isn't that big of a deal because you're already going through the thought process of spending all this money. So you add a few $100, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah,
as
people
these
that
lower price.
work with me hate me saying this all the time because I say it all the time. But penny smart, dollar dumb, right? You know, you're like, oh, $2.99, $3.99. There's no way I'm spending that on Arcade1up. It's not till it's $2.99. But oh yeah, it's $12.99. The new one's $13.99. It's not much difference. Like, same amount.
And it's crazy too, thinking about where like the home arcade community products have come from, you know, where we were constantly shopping for these $300-400 products, and now we're talking $1,000-1,500 products this year. It's drastically changed.
Well, you got inflation plus in order to, it's a, you know, what do they call it? You know, I forget what the term is right now, and escalation of war, right? You know, you've got to keep up in that hardware so you can do more powerful stuff. You know, you got competition, it drives you the innovation and need to go bigger and better over and over till
and AtGames seems
demand.
like too they're wanting to put out a more premium product now, and in turn, in order to do that, they're going to have to charge more money.
Yeah, and I'd probably be more fine with that if they would have. You know, I get the desire to say we want to keep it somewhat backward compatible for all the people that invested in all these other peripherals. We want to support that. But to me, it's dangerous not innovating. You know what you did wrong, right? To Justin's comments earlier, this is your chance to go back and really re-engineer it the way what you've learned and make something truly premium. But here they're back out. The deck's still not slanted. You know, it's all the same mistakes and just a, you know, bigger resolution, in my opinion. I mean, yes, better marquee, but
that is true. That you make a really good point on that. Like the fact that they're like coming out with the you know what they figured out to be the best marquee, and that would come standard.
Yeah,
that I think is the key feature of the new ALU.
And it's great. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I think that marquee is awesome, and it was a brilliant idea to come out with a marquee that changes for the games. I mean, wish somebody could figure out how to do that to the sides. Then it would be really cool.
That's Glenn's big plan, is to figure out how to do side panels that way.
Yeah, you know how expensive
your whole arcade changes when you change
just panels for TVs costing the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like,
I don't know, maybe that's the solution. Just be cool with a square arcade, right? And then just put two big screens, TVs on the side. We'll just build our own.
Yeah, I saw Kevin's chat here. He's always liking to talk about NBA on the chat or on these streams, talking about how Trae Young requested a trade. I saw that coming weeks ago, and I think he's going to probably end up on the Lakers, is my guess. I hope he doesn't, because I don't like the Lakers, but they always seem to get all the free agents and the trades, so that's where I'm seeing him going. But Trae Young's a good player. Out of the two, Luka definitely was the better pick of the two, but Trae's up there. There was some news on the AtGames front this week too with this Rare, because I wondered whatever happened with the Rare pinball packs and all that, and I was wondering, you know, is it only going to play on the new board or will it play on the HD as well? Well, we got some news on that this week. They have confirmed for us that all the Rare stuff will play on the HDs as well, so that's cool. Ooh. And we got tentative dates as well for the Natural History pack, and then a tentative date of December 17th for the Rare Pinball Pack and the Rare Game Packs. And we're going to have a Rare Pinball Pack, a Rare Game Pack 1, and a Rare Game Pack 2. What do you guys think of these and these coming here at the end of the year?
I just have one quick comment. I swear the people at AtGames get paid per word. Why is all of their marketing thing have to be like 10 paragraphs? Like, I mean, I remember taking some marketing classes in college, and they were like, we went through PowerPoint training, and every student in their first class did something like this. And where it was this PowerPoint with all of these words, and the biggest training the teacher said, less is more, less is more. And she kept on having us like, we would turn in a better version, and it was like less words, better version, less words, better version, less words. And finally, when it was like the simplest, we actually started adding pictures to share information. She's like, you finally got it. The rest of the semester, this is all you're doing. This is how you communicate. Yeah.
That's true.
They never took
I think
course.
you're gonna lose focus of these people reading your material if it's too long and too detailed.
Yeah.
Like make it quick, make it easy, get your point across, and make it catchy. You know, like a catchy phrase or something to get their attention, and that's all you need.
Yep.
So,
And to Justin's point, if you're doing a presentation, people are reading that slide; they're not listening to you.
Yeah.
Like when you throw all that word vomit on there.
That's right.
But I thought I
think it comes from PK. He wants to be like, look at everything that we told you. And it's like, yeah, I stopped reading after a few sentences because I got bored. Sorry.
I thought it was interesting on there. I read it because I was going to share it, but I got to the bottom, to the December 17th for these rare packs. And Jason's putting in there in the chat for you guys which games come with those packs. That's helpful. Thank you, Jason. But I thought it was interesting, December 17th, because the ALU 4K is supposed to come out in November, I think is what they were saying. So you're going to actually have your Killer Instinct AtGames Legends Ultimate 4K without the rare packs. Or maybe they kind of did what they did with Star Trek, where you get your Star Trek games early if you buy the machine.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case, because
that's my guess.
That would be crappy
this is
to
packs
get the
for
arcade.
everybody else. Which begs the question: then, are the rare games coming to the HD? In which case, you can play Killer Instinct on the HD and not just the.
And that's what this was saying, is that they're going to continue to support the Legends HD product line, and that these games are going to launch on both the 4K and the HD. So you're going to be able to play Killer Instinct and even the Killer Instinct Pinball on the HD. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
it is cool.
I think they're just having issues with the Zen. The Zen seems to be the problem. Something with their programming and the way they develop these games is making it difficult to run on their hardware. But it seems like other games have no issues. So that'll be cool. I know we saw Mike of All Trades in the chat. I know he's looking forward to seeing Killer Instinct go to AtGames, because then that opens up the fighting game tournaments to not just Arcade1up, but now we got AtGames in there as well. So that just brings more competition, and I like that.
They need to figure out how to do crossplay.
Yeah, that would be great. Crossplay Killer Instinct. Hey, great idea.
Would be sweet.
We got a $2 super chat from Kevin. He said, AtGames pays lawyers, but they use ChatGPT. Kidding. I think a lot of people do use ChatGPT. I've not actually used it yet myself. Do you guys ever use it?
Oh, yeah.
Question is there a day I don't use it?
I did watch your AI video on how to create images in AI, the artflow.io or whatever, and I got into that a little bit.
Your own models of yourself, yeah. That's handy.
I thought that was cool. AI is eventually we're all going to have to learn it eventually, because our jobs are going to require it. But let's run
You should play with it.
Learn it
you should play with it, man.
Yeah.
It's not hard. That's what they did. Is most of these AI companies have actually made it very easy to use. Like, the hardest part is to decide to use it. The moment you like find the site and log in, you're like, this is the easiest thing ever, because the interface is typically type in something, right? Did you say that?
Oh yeah.
It's like ChatGPT. It's Google basically. You know how to do a Google search, so you go to ChatGPT and you just ask it a question. The most interesting thing, if we can talk about it for 2 seconds, I don't know if you've been doing this, man. It's on ChatGPT, the app, you can just like communicate, like just talk.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, and then it'll talk back to you. and you can have like, I did this thing where I don't know if you've done this, James, but it's I'm like bored on a car ride, and so I'm at a red light, so I turn on the ChatGPT thing and put my phone down. I'm not looking at the screen or anything like that, but it's connected to my computer, and I just have a straight on conversation with AI.
That's hilarious.
Like I'm like, hey, and I've done this where I'm like, let's have a conversation, bring up a topic, and she'll be like, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about this, whatever it is. Tell me about the new James Webb Telescope and the recent discoveries. And she's not fully up to date, but like she still has so much to say, and you can just kind of listen to it.
I mean, the phone app is amazing because it also takes pictures, right? So you can, like, let's say you were out hiking, right? You take a picture of a plant, it'll tell you what it is, so you know whether you can,
use it or not,
right?
or avoid it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty insane, like how useful those things are, and just from a professional.
Or if you get bit by a snake, you could take a picture of the snake. It'll tell you if you need to go to the hospital or not.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But I try to tell people, right? It's not about AI replacing people. It's about people who effectively can use AI will have, the advantage because it's a tool. It's a partner to make you better. And so
100%.
I try to tell everybody, I encourage my teams, like, use it, figure out the right way to use it, know what the risks are, what the safety concerns, legal concerns are, but use it, figure out how to be good at it.
My only thing with AI is, and what I don't like about it going into it, is I feel like I'm going to be less creative if I get too used to AI. Like I'm going to rely on it too much.
I think you might be more creative. What I found is so far, it's only really good at small tasks. It's not really good at like a large task. You have to be it's like you're a manager of a team, and the team is AI. And so you still have to like give them work, right? And so imagine it's a team of people that are coming back to you constantly with, okay, now what's next? What's the next little task I need to do? And you're like, I want it to do this. And they're like, okay, do you like option A, B, C, or D? And you're like, go with D. There's no AI that I've worked with where you can be like, I have this big grand idea, come up with the perfect solution. It's not going to come up with the perfect solution. You have to, like, just a tiny little like even with code, it's really good at just writing one function that's very simple. I'm like, oh, that's creative, sounds good. But if I'm like, build an entire app, no, it's not going to do it.
Yeah, and you oftentimes, like, especially on the code, right, you're troubleshooting it for it. I created a handful of video games just to do it, right, to see if I could recreate real arcade games in a browser using ChatGPT, and it would get some of the math wrong, and you have to say, no, you're calculating it wrong. This is the way you should do. Oh yeah, you're right. That's how I should do it, right? And then it will struggle and still not get it right. So the more you know, the better you are at it. So it's a tool that makes you better, right? It's never going to replace somebody who's got, a lot of skills and expertise in a field. But, like artists, like there was one I was reading about there's a company that released a card game, one of those like Magic the Gathering. I can't remember the name of the game, but it's like really popular right now, but they're being criticized because all of their art on their cards is generated by AI. And they pointed out, well, we pay this one artist. So they pay this one guy, like, I don't remember what the amount of money was, but he's a real artist, developed all this stuff, and he uses AI to speed his production. And so these cards look perfect. The art on them is amazing, but he's letting, the AI tools like Midjourney and stuff create the basics, and then he goes back in and cleans them up and gets exactly what he wants out of them. And they're amazing, and they're just killing it with this stuff. And their production to get this game out has fallen from, you're paying somebody, thousands of dollars per card to create an art, to I pay one guy $20,000 and it takes him 30 days to crank out 200 cards. So it's amazing, like, how it can just really increase production, but you still have to have the skills to make it work for you.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
One final thought: if you watch the Billy Joel video, have you guys seen that?
No, I've not seen it.
So Billy Joel has a brand new song out that he wrote recently with a co-writer, and they used AI to create this music video. And the music video is AI deepfake of Billy Joel singing his brand new song, but
Nice.
when he's 20, when he's 30, when he's 40, throughout the decades. And I watched interviews on it, and they're like, yeah, they used this company that does deepfake to build this, but it took 300 people to make the video. And the guy who directed this has made music videos before, and he's never hired so many people to build this. So it's like AI is not replacing jobs, it's creating more jobs in this scenario
Hmm.
because it took more engineers and more, because in that music video they had stand-ins. Sorry, my hands. They had stand-ins of people that are skinny like Billy Joel was when in
Yep.
his 20s to kind of be the placeholder and do all the moves of Billy Joel and his look, and then the AI just took the face of the actor and replace it with Billy Joel's face. So there were still people that were doing it. It's not like it could like just completely generate the music video from scratch.
Hmm. Yeah, I know with AI, like the artwork that it produces, like I can tell a difference. It's like I can always tell
Yeah.
AI created it. And whenever that changes and it shifts to where you can't tell anymore, that's going to be scary. Because then I think people could lose jobs at that point.
I've read some articles that suggest that the fact that so many people can detect when something is AI is proof that AI is being rejected by humanity, by people, because it's stylistic. Like you could like make art that is very AI. I did it at work, and in fact I created a PowerPoint slide for a presentation and I leaned in to it looking like AI on purpose. Like all the
Hmm.
text in it was like
Yeah.
really bad. And it was funny because everyone knew, like I leaned in that it was AI. But anyway, that article was kind of saying like the fact that so many people can easily detect when something's fake, when something's AI, is actually saying that AI is failing because it's not able to trick us as well as we thought. Anyway, just an interesting thought.
Interesting, yeah.
Yep.
We could probably go on for a while about AI, but let's run a super chat video here for Kevin. I appreciate the $2. That's huge. It definitely supports us. Any dollar will help. So I appreciate you sending that over. Let's run this video for you, Kevin. All right, so let's move on, guys. We're going to talk now. We've not talked this subject on this channel yet. I think I may have mentioned Stern maybe once or twice, but since we have Justin on the show today, and he is like our expert when it comes to Stern, and I know Kongs or Us
I don't
is.
know if you'd call me an expert. I don't know about that.
Yeah, out of the people I talk to in this community, I would consider you like a Stern expert, Kongs or Us, Retro Ralph. But I know you're up there. You own a lot of these. They're fun. You have a big interest in them. So I wanted to get your opinion on this John Wick announcement this week. Tell us a little bit about these tables.
Sure. Um, well, so Stern made their announcement this week of the John Wick pinball machines, and so it's a partnership with Lionsgate, and so there's been some controversy about these machines. I think some of that is kind of interesting. We can talk a little bit about that. I have kind of like a short take on that. But this is Stern is supposed to release 3 different machines this year. I think this is their second one. They did Jaws. Now we have John Wick, and the rumor is Metallica is coming out later. And there's also this talk about this new machine that comes out later. Could be Metallica. Will be a complete redesign. So the design, if you look at this Stern machine, they've actually had this same style since about, I think, 2016 with their Batman 66 machine or so.
Mm-hmm.
Basically every machine that's ever had an LCD has looked and shaped like that. Think of it kind of like an Arcade1up Gen 3 model. Like they've had that for years, and now
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking about changing that design. I've heard that the new design is going to look familiar, but there's questions of like, will it be a bigger screen? You know, what is it going to look like? So here's John Wick. Some interesting things about John Wick is it's let's see, it's a new designer. It's a designer that's worked at CERN for like 10 years or so, and he's worked on a lot of different machines, but now this is his first opportunity to build a game from scratch. And his manager is George Gomez. George Gomez has been around for a long time. He like created Tron, and the most latest pinball machine he did was like Dr. No, the James Bond series. And so he mentored this new designer, and he kept. I watched an interview recently, and it was really cool how his very first John Wick design, he's like, "Nope, sucks, not doing it," you know. And the new designer, Tim Sexton, I think is his name, and there's like second version, no, it's not good. Third version was like, oh, it's pretty good. When you look at this table itself, the actual play field, on the left, it's got a ramp shot that's like very similar to, I want to say, the Foo Fighters pinball machine. So there's kind of like this very similar left shot. So typically with Stern, they have these play fields that the Pro version is kind of like a watered down version, and then they have another version called the Premium that has typically some advancements on it, and then the LE is basically the same machine, but it's got expressive lighting, it's got some extra features on it. But generally, there's kind of like two versions. There's some controversy on it related to how John Wick is a gun game, but this machine has no guns visibly on it.
Yeah,
so
that's what I've been hearing. Like, most of what I've been hearing is about these guns. Like, everyone's really focused on the fact that it does not include any guns in the artwork. It's all on the screen in the video clips.
That's right. So George Gomez did some interviews. He's kind of doing a damage control tour, you might say, on a couple. He was on Flippin' Out Pinball, then he was on Loser Kids podcast. And his explanation was pretty interesting. Kaneda, who's pretty respected in the pinball community, basically heard the explanation from George Gomez and was like, yeah, good for me, good enough for me. So basically the explanation of why John Wick doesn't have guns on it is because Lionsgate, or probably Lionsgate's lawyers, consider this pinball machine to be an all-ages machine. And so clearly there was a conversation between Stern and Lionsgate where they asked about ESRB type ratings, and they said, so how does the pinball rating system work? Is there like an ESRB, something like that? And they're like, no, pinball machines don't have that. And they're like, where are the pinball machines being sold? Only in homes? No, in commercial establishments. And they're like, okay, so anyone could walk up to this machine and just play it, like a 5-year-old? Like, yeah, like that's a thing. Like, okay, so this is an all ages machine. So that means there's no guns. And so Lionsgate has a policy, and I guess this policy is on all of their products. If there is a label that says mature audience only on your merchandise, then fine, you can have guns, you can have various things on it that promotes violence or whatever. But if something is in the all ages category, my words would be something like the legal team, it's in their best interest to mitigate those risks, right? They want to make sure that the product isn't pulled from shelves because it doesn't have proper disclaimers on it, something like that. So evidently the Lionsgate team kind of were like, look, you can have guns inside the video, but you can't have guns on the screen. So the next question is, why is it, I'm sorry, you can have it in the video, but you can't have it on the game.
That is strange.
Physically on the artwork. And so they said, George Gomez said that the reason why you can have it on the screen is because if you walk up to the machine and press the start button, you've made a conscious decision to play this game. If it is a 5-year-old that walked up to the machine, their parent or their mother, their father should have been the one that said you can or cannot play the game. But that 5-year-old shouldn't be exposed to guns just in a family fun environment. So you put that all together, it kind of makes sense. You know?
Yeah. It's just kind of silly for me,
the
though.
Graphic people being shot is probably not in the video, right? I know there's some fighting.
No, they said that, according to the interviews, it does show people being shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
what
I knew
I've
they showed
seen
them shooting, but I didn't know if it showed people getting hit. right?
I see him shooting through walls and stuff. I don't think I've seen anyone get hit yet in the gameplay, but
I think
I
they
haven't
removed
watched all
that
of
from
it.
the trailer.
Yeah.
But in the interview, I heard George Gomez say
They do get shot.
when he was just describing it, he's like, and then someone gets shot, and
Yeah.
like it was a part of. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get. I there was like a Stern. I haven't watched it. A Stern live stream
I
of
watched a
them
little of
actually
it.
playing. Yeah. Did you see any
I didn't see
graphics
anyone
thing?
getting shot in the video. I just saw him shooting through walls and stuff like that. But I only watched for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the clips I
possible
saw
they
showed
watered
a
it
lot
down.
of fighting, but I didn't watch that stream. I watched some of B's stuff that showed it, you know.
Who's the
A lot of
biggest
the
guy in the pinball
fights.
world, like on YouTube?
Probably Kerry Hardy.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Kerry Hardy. It was another guy they brought in to play it in that video.
Oh, you mean like at Stern?
At Stern's headquarters there.
Means
They
that.
used
Jack
whatever.
Danger, probably.
Jack Danger. That's who it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It was interesting to watch because that guy, man, he's into pinball, man. He knows it all. And his mind's going like 100 miles a minute, like as he's playing. It's crazy.
I think it's really cool that Stern, Jack Danger, he's a YouTuber. Like, well, not a YouTuber, but he's like us in the sense that he was a content creator for many years. So, but he just was a content creator on Twitch. And, over 10 years of him streaming on Twitch and really getting into the hobby and getting to learn the hobby. And then they gave him an opportunity to design the Jurassic Park home pin. And then he ended up, getting a job at Stern, and then they gave him Foo Fighters, and that was a huge success. Of course, he had help from, Keith Elwin and George Gomez to help design that game. But yeah, he's always at those launch party. He's typically one of the players of a game, and he seems like I met him. He's a pretty cool dude. He's a nice guy.
Yep. And then of these, so we got the Pro, we've got the Limited, and we've got the Premium. What is your favorite? I know this is always a topic of discussion. Some people think the Pro ends up looking the best, but they want the Premium. What's your thoughts on these different versions?
It's a weird one. So I think from what I've seen so far is the Premium has a ball lock system in the upper left, and then the Premium also has the car can come out and kind of lock the ball. So there's like two opportunities to kind of collect the ball, and then I think maybe there's that watch looking thing that opens on the Premium, and I think maybe it's a watered down version on the Pro. I'm just excited. I went to our local tournament on Thursday, and I asked the manager. I was like, "Hey, did you put in your order for John Wick?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did. We should have it in a few weeks." So the bar is also a Stern distributor, so they get the pros right away, and they only stock pros. So I'm excited to play it. It's just like Jaws, where if you play the Pro, it doesn't have the shark coming out, so you don't have that little extra wow. And on this one, the John Wick car doesn't come out.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's just stationary, and it doesn't have that ball lock in the back, but
I
it
did
still has all
see-
the other ramps and stuff. So
I did see like a briefcase that opens up and has
Yeah,
like
the
knives
gun-
and bullets in it.
weapon
Is that
case.
on all of them?
It's on there, but it's already opened on the Pro. Like
Okay.
it doesn't close; it just is propped open.
Interesting.
yeah, and it looks like they had mentioned, and this is kind of getting overshadowed by all the gun talk, but it should be a little bit more front and center. They said that the goodie bag has a gun inside it. And so if you unscrew the chest, you can throw a gun inside it. So it does have guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me seemed like the most obvious thing that they would mod right away, right? Because it just shows ammos
Right.
and grenades in it. People are just gonna swap that out, and it'll have all the guns.
Yeah, I
I
thought it
think he
was
saying
kind of.
you can unscrew it and throw more stuff inside the little hole. That's kind of cool.
But yeah, I thought it was kind of silly that they excluded the guns. It seemed like their hands were tied on that. But, the whole movie, the entire movie, it's shooting. So I just thought it was kind of strange that it didn't include that. But I guess, licensing is difficult. There's all kinds of things you have to follow and negotiate. And they just have to follow what, I guess, Lionsgate is giving them in order to make John Wick. So I'm not a huge fan of the movies. Like I've seen a little bit of the first one, a little bit of the second one, so I'm not gonna be a huge fan of this one. But for those that like this movie, they're gonna love this, I think. What
I
did
think
you?
the really interesting thing on it is the nudge feature, right? I think this is the first time we have a table that will tell you to go play it, right? So if you have the app, right,
Oh,
they're sending
yes.
you missions to go, assassinate somebody or something, and then you're going to have to go, like if you're somebody who doesn't own it, you have to go find a bar and go, or wherever, go
Oh,
find
that's
the
cool.
table and go play.
Yeah,
I
Right.
like that.
So
I,
it's really
I'm pretty
cool
excited
idea,
about
I
it.
think.
I think it's going to be a play on their Quest system. Like right now, the Quest is for this month. It's you got to try to get like 20 billion points on Jaws accumulatively. It's not like you have to get a 20 billion score.
Right.
It's just play it so much that you reach 20 billion accumulatively. And so that's their monthly quest. So I'm hoping, because this would be kind of fun, is they're like, I don't know, in July, once most of the bars and arcades have John Wick, they say it's the John Wick month. And you go, do you want to accept the mission? And you're like, yes. And so, I don't know, all of a sudden you get a pop-up on Tuesday on your phone that says, you have 1 week to accept this contract. Are you going to do it? And you're like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, go to this bar by the end of the week, play this game. This is what I'm hoping for. I don't know if they're going to do this. But that contract that you get when you scan in, the game's like, welcome, Justin. This is your mission.
Oh, that'd
But
be
it's
awesome.
That would be
personalized.
really smart.
That would be
if they did it
so
then. Yep.
cool.
Yeah, if they can make
Yeah,
things more
personalize it.
interactive, even for the people that don't own pinball, where they can go somewhere and be involved and get enjoyment in it like that, I think that's huge for their brand and this product, because
You-
not anyone can afford these machines. But if we could still have fun traveling to arcades and doing the stuff like that, that would make it a lot more fun.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Kaneda, when he was being, like, why is B doing this video, right? Like, his viewers can't go buy one of these tables. They don't have the money. That's what he was basically saying. It's
Mhm.
like, well, Stern isn't just marketing to the people that are going to shell out ten to $15,000 for this thing. They're marketing to the people that'll go spend $5 on it, right?
That's
They
right.
want everybody to go play it. So when you go up to your operator and go, "Hey, do you have John Wick?" That guy goes buys it so you can go play it, right? They
That's
want everybody asking for it. And that's who they're trying to market to, not just people that are going to shell out for the thing for their house. This is probably the first one, honestly, I'm actually interested in playing, and it's not because I'm obsessed with John Wick. I thought the first movie was good. I've seen them all, but the fourth one was a sleeper as far as I was not great. But I like kind of that idea of the nudging. I liked some of the aspects of the, where the skill level gets harder if you're better at the game, that it's like adjusting to you. I think those things are pretty neat, and I liked the way it looked, how it played. So I'm actually kind of interested in actually playing this one. I'm not interested in buying it, however.
Yeah, absolutely not.
We had a question from Garage Gamer to you, Justin, on the Jaws game. Can you explain how to use the teeth in the Jaws game?
Yeah, so in this game, you scan in, and it's tracking your progress. And as you play the game, you'll collect teeth. It's like an achievement, and so you can cash in. Now, I think there's two things that you can collect. You can collect shark teeth and maybe one other thing, because I know when I look at mine, it says that I have 999 of something, and it doesn't get any higher. And then I have some lower number of something else, but I can't remember what they're called. Maybe you're collecting shark and you're collecting shark teeth. I can't remember. But I think what he's asking is, and the answer, I think what he's saying is, the inside Jaws, there's this mode that you can unlock. It's a video mode, and it's actually the Sega game from the Jaws era that's in the movie. It's
wow.
where you're like shooting harpoons at sharks. And so they embedded that game inside the Jaws pinball machine.
Oh, very
And
cool.
so if you unlock that inside the game, all of a sudden you hit a shot and it's like, boom, you're in the Jaws 3D mode. And you can even put on the 3D glasses and play it in 3D. And there's a developer at Stern that literally frame by frame like recreated this 3D Jaws game. He said that he spent so much time coding this game that he started dreaming in 3D. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so in the game, when you play it, you kind of die in the game pretty quick, but you can rack up some scores really quick. Like anytime I make it to that little video game, I think I can get like 30 million pretty quick. Because it's like you shoot a couple sharks, you might get like an extra ball, but you gotta like avoid the diver, you know, and boom, I got another shark. Boom, I got another shark. And then I run out of time or I run out of harpoons. And then you're back into the game. The whole time it's holding on to your ball on a little post.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be like, congratulations, you got 30 million. Okay, so what is the shark teeth? Well, when you start the game, you can redeem the shark teeth to just straight on play that game. And when you play it, it's not just one round. It's like multiple rounds. You can actually play it for a while. And so it's kind of like in-game cash, that it's just for playing that 3D game, like that video game. It's kind of weird because I've only done it once. The game's kind of fun, and I always play it when it's like in-game because you're like, oh, this is an opportunity to get like 30 or 50 million score, little bonus. But you're playing on that little LCD screen and you're standing far enough away that I'm literally like leaning in to be like, try to get the shark. So it's not very enjoyable to just like play like a video game, but that's the idea. So when friends come over, I just straight up like redeem a shark tooth and let them play the
cool.
3D game, and they go, "Well, that's really cool," and they play for a couple of minutes and they never play again. they just play the pinball.
Was Jaws a success for Stern, or do they even know that yet?
You know, it's hard to tell because how do you know that something is a success? You might know if the LEs are sold out. You might know if the LEs are discounted so quickly to 10,000. Here's what I do know. At our local arcade, I was talking to the manager just recently, and there's an article on Nap Arcade that says, and it highlights this thing from George Gomez's interview. He said one of the top earning games right now is Venom, which is super surprising because it's
Really?
not seen as a very successful game, but he says it's earning a lot. So maybe that's a testament to their leveling up system. I don't know. And they also said Stranger Things was another like top earner.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the manager, is that true for this arcade? And she goes, I don't think so. I was like, do you have access to the earning data? She's like, I do. I could check. So she's like, next time you're here, I'll let you know what the earning data is. She was going to look into it. She says the most popular game right now for the last several months is Jaws. Hands down. She goes, if the place is completely empty, chances are if there's one person playing a game, they're playing Jaws. So
since
she
I've
says
started
it's super popular.
Following Stern, which I just started doing it a couple of years ago when you guys started talking about it. But Foo Fighters is my favorite of like the recent tables. I love that table. And it must be the music too, because the music going along and how you can change the tunes and all that, that keeps me coming back. And it's just a beautiful table too. And like if you get the premium, I guess it has the different color metal where it's like gold looking or something. Do you know what the color is on that one?
I have it right here.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
I don't see any gold.
Okay, maybe I'm off on that. But so you have the premium there, and the premiums there's a limited edition. The limited edition must have the different T. What do you call that metal? Is it T molding or what do we call that?
So there's T molding on like the back box area, and I think you're talking about like the rails,
the railing, along the sides of the table,
or
that hold the glass in.
What do they call it on the LE? So it's like guard. It's like a. Because you can upgrade and get like my Jaws Premium. From now on, they're starting to put. Oh, why is it? I can't think of it. Guardrails. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, there's like. Let me just show you real quick. So here's Jurassic Park, right? And the flipper buttons are just right there. And there's no extra guard here. There's just the rails.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. But if you go over to Jaws, this is just the premium. The Jaws has included this little extra guard. Which
Okay.
is, by the way, like the once you feel the guard, you want it on all your machines.
Yeah.
It's like your hands are I can't see if the camera. Your hands are here, right? And you're like, oh man, the guard feels so good on your hands. But not all the machines have that.
Yeah, I'm looking at
But
the
the
limited
LEs
edition.
always have that.
Yeah, the limited edition Foo Fighters has it, and it actually has an FF, the logo, built like
Yeah, it's a deck
engraved
protector.
into it. And that's the one that they have at the local arcade by me here in
Really?
Surprise. Yeah, so I get to play that one, and I love it.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, there's very of Stearns in my area, no one has an LE. There's one place that I was talking about earlier that has LEs, but it's the Chicago gaming stuff they have LEs on. I'm trying to think, does he have any LEs? Yeah, oh, so he has the limited edition Jurassic Park. So that is a Stern. And he has a limited edition Iron Man. Yeah, so I guess he does have a couple LEs and a limited edition Star Trek, which is really fun to play. The Star Trek limited. You guys ever played that Star Trek one? It's the was it the Kelvin or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I played
it's
it at
great. I hate the Star Trek like generation or whatever, but the game is great.
yeah, I got to play that one, the Kelvin Timeline Stern Star Trek at the Game on Expo. I actually liked it. And it also made me want to get that new AtGames because the AtGames 4K Star Trek looks a lot like that with the characters on
Yeah.
the side.
Yeah. Yeah, someone
Yeah.
in the chat did mention it. It's the side armor. That's what it's called, side armor.
Side armor. And yeah, and he also, Jason
What a great
said,
name.
too, it's not expensive either. It's like a $60 upgrade if you want to do it.
Yeah, I've been looking at it. There's third parties that are less expensive, but I think the OEM official Sterns are a little more expensive.
Okay.
When I was at Midwest Gaming Classic what was that, a month and a half ago, they had Jaws were by far the most tables they had of any one table out there, and they were always busy. So it was super popular, and that's again, when you could have played Princess Bride and Labyrinth and Ninja Eclipse, and so all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all the new tables for all the companies were there, but there were a ton of Jaws, and they were always busy. Like every single one of them.
I saw a short
definitely popular.
from you,
Yeah.
James, Iron Maiden short. Did you post that
Yeah.
recently?
I that was one I actually spent some time playing and had a blast.
Oh,
so I
it's
just
so
hit
good.
recorded while I was playing. It was awesome.
I haven't played
hit
that
like
one yet.
4 multi-balls on my first game. I was like, this is crazy. It just kept going and going and going.
Are you a big fan of their music?
I think it's okay. I mean, my metal days are long behind me. I used to like metal quite a bit, but they were never huge in my book, but I do like their music. So it was, it was great. It's blaring in your face. It's loud. It was awesome. It was great. The one I really
Yeah.
want to play is the new Guns N' Roses one. They had it there, but it was being updated, and I understand it's pretty buggy anyway, and they're still talking about updates to try to fix stuff with it. So
Yeah, so I've got the
That's right.
Pinball Expo up here because I actually booked my ticket this week for Chicago. I'm going to be arriving on
Nice.
Thursday, the 17th, and then I fly out on Sunday, the 20th. So I'll be going to the expo on Friday, Saturday, and then I want to go to Galloping Ghost on Sunday before I fly out. Or maybe just do the expo one day and do Galloping Ghost 2 days. So are you guys going to be in Chicago?
I'm planning on driving up and hanging out. I haven't decided how long yet, though. Because I know I may go down before for a while. Because, like you said, Galloping Ghost there's like 1,000 arcades in there. That's going to take longer than a day.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm going to spend more time at Galloping Ghost than I am the expo just because that's like once in a lifetime thing to see that place. It's the largest arcade in the U.S. The expo will be fun to see the new stuff coming out. Now, Stern, I heard, is going to be there again this year. I guess they go every year. I'd asked Retro Ralph a couple of months ago, what's going to be the next Stern table? And he goes, I think it's going to be John Wick. So he knew well in advance or had a good idea well in advance. Do you have any idea of what they may be showing off at the expo, Justin? You had mentioned a new Metallica.
Yeah, that's the big rumor. So the big rumor is Metallica, possibly Metallica is this Spike 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Spike 3 is, and George Gomez mentioned in that interview, he was on 2 shows recently, that Spike 3 is coming, possibly this year is what he said, but there was a lot of like, you could read in a lot to his interviews. He was repeating the same thing. And so there, Kaneda, who's a podcaster, he had mentioned he's confident that Tron is actually in development,
Oh, that'd
a
be a good one.
Tron remake, which George Gomez did mention in the interview, saying some of the challenges of Tron, where I think it's a relicense, they have to kind of start over. That
Yeah,
was too.
sorry,
Go ahead.
I was Garage Gamer's comment. That's the one
I heard this too.
rumored
The
a lot.
Pokemon. Retro Ralph was very strong on that one being coming soon too.
Yeah, that's been rumored pretty strong, but most of the rumor podcasters have switched to Metallica.
Metallica.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I thought the Pokemon was kind of a strange pick. I guess if they're trying to go after
I
the
think it's genius
family-friendly
right now.
type, try to get kids and younger audiences into pinball, that would be a good one.
Pokemon's
But,
at the height of its popularity, and if you're looking for that next generation, and with the catch 'em all features, the stuff you
Mhm.
could do in a pinball machine with that is crazy.
And from a business
Yeah,
standpoint, you would
yeah.
want to do something different. It would, kind of branch your product out and do something different. I would see that being a good idea and a good plan.
Yeah, he mentioned there's 3 designers. So that was interesting. He mentioned 3 designers are currently like have work lined up. And I think it was Keith Elwin, who did Jaws, and you guys mentioned Iron Maiden earlier. He did that. Iron Maiden's a fantastic game. Um, he's got a game. Jack Danger's got a game, and then John Borg has a game. And everyone's like, okay, John Borg is doing Tron, and then Kaneda, he says 100% confirmed that Tron is in the works and is probably that 3rd game. Because even if you listen to it, George Gomez was basically kept on saying this like 3 cadence thing, and
Mhm.
it seemed like in his head he was thinking, and he's probably thinking timelines, and he's like, game A, game B, game C, game A, game B, say game C, and it's like Jack, Keith, John Borg. It's probably what his brain was thinking, and so everyone's like, John Borg is doing Tron, and then Keith or Jack are doing, I don't know, Metallica or Pokemon. I don't really know.
Well, very good discussion on Stern tonight. I appreciate you joining us today, Justin, and talking this, because I'm by far like behind on news when it comes to Stern and what these things offer. So it was good to get that opinion and discussion going with you today. I
just want to
go
mention
ahead.
my sources real quick. Just want to mention my sources. So Pinball, Flipping Out Pinball podcast. Zach Monet does this podcast. There's Triple Drain podcast, Loser Kid, and Kaneda's podcast. I mean, I'm only repeating things that they've said. I mean, they're kind of the sources of a lot of the pinball podcasts. So maybe even some of the things I said were indirect or direct quotes from them. So I mean, they're my sources. So if you're interested in getting into Stern Pinball, those are great podcasts to listen to.
Okay, cool. It's been interesting to see your change too, from where you were really heavy into Arcade1up, and then now you've moved into pinball. And it's not just you. I've seen Kong's doing a lot of pinball content now and focused on it. And it's just interesting to see that. I always wonder, am I going to ever grow out of these Arcade1ups? I think I would need a lot more income for that to happen, but it could happen someday.
Yeah, I feel weird about the comment about it being something you grow out of. Like, I don't really see. I mean, I Arcade1up still, so
Oh, you do?
I know
Okay.
that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that think that I sold them all. I didn't.
I've been
own
hearing
dozens
that,
of
so
them
I
still.
assume that.
No,
I apologize. I'm glad you're clarifying for us.
No. There's no need to apologize. I think the two can coexist. I own full-size arcades and Arcade1ups. But there's a lot of friends that I have that I've met through the tournaments, and some of them own, some of them don't. Some of them just play in I was even talking to this guy recently where he owns pinball machines, but only on locations, not in his home. So it's like it's kind of a business for him, but he runs tournaments. So there's like a lot of different like variety of opportunities. Um, but I will say what's cool is there is a thriving community around pinball machines, and there's some attractiveness to, I would say, what is currently the Arcade1up community. You're not going to be able to find that I know of a local community for Arcade1up. Like, think about it. Is there a meetup locally in your town where you can meet up with a whole bunch of Arcade1up
No.
enthusiasts? That would be kind of cool, though, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if there was like this, like,
Furniture Mart, I guess.
Well, in
right.
I think there is a place like that in Wisconsin, because Phil always goes
that
to
right?
Synergy. In that place, they collect Arcade1ups and they meet up there and talk about them and show them off.
That's interesting.
So
And
there
so for me,
could be.
I found the local community is tournaments, and I go there both because it's fun to play, but it's fun to hang out, and it's fun to make friends. And I feel like I have like the Arcade1up friends,
Mhm.
and I feel close to you guys. I can chat, we can come on streams, and then at tournaments, there's friends that I see every couple weeks, have beer with them, whatever. But those guys are aware of the Arcade1up community. Some of them own Arcade1ups.
Mhm.
Some of them own pinball machines, and many of them own Super Nintendos,
Oh, yeah.
Nintendos, RetroTink 4K. Like, they're in the gaming community, and once I like learned that, I was like, this is just another part of in my opinion, it's just the gaming community, the retro gaming community, and somehow Stern is like in that as well. I don't know, even though they're technically modern. Like, I don't
Mhm.
play any modern games like PS4, 5, or anything like that. But I play, in my heart, I feel like I play retro games, and somehow Stern is like in that because it's a pinball machine that was popularized long time ago. Does that make sense? It
Mhm.
hasn't really changed, even though there's an LCD screen and a digital aspect. It still feels mechanical. It doesn't feel like an Xbox
Yeah.
PS5 type thing.
In pinball, even though, like you said, the technology of pinball has come a long way, to me, pinball has always felt like my father's generation, right?
Right.
That's what they grew up playing. That's what they loved because there weren't video games, right?
Mhm.
And so it's, to me, that's as nostalgia kind of thing as you can get,
Hmm.
even though they're modern, right? There's a lot of modern nostalgia. Like, I picked up Garbage Pail Kids on the NES. Well, that's a new game. That's not an old game. It's just for an old system. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of that modern retro, still the same kind of vibe. You're going back to the older technology and making what's new there, and they're great. So it
Yeah.
scratches both the new and the old.
And one
Right. I mean,
question
I
I
would
had
love.
too for
Go
the
ahead.
tournaments, like, is there like a World Series or like a meetup where the best pinball players in the world all go and compete?
Yeah, I've never invited to those for sure, but yeah. So every state's a little different. So if you go to ifpa.com, so that's the International Flipper IF Pinball Association,
Mhm.
International Football Pinball Association. You can create an account, and it's free to join. And typically, how it works is you go to a tournament, a local tournament. Um, Everyone I've ever talked to, so I've met people from South Dakota, from the Iowa, Des Moines area, Iowa City, Omaha, because some of them like travel because they want to chase the points, as it's called.
Mhm.
Uh, so when you join a tournament, it's at minimum $1 to join because you got to give $1 to the IFPA to make it kind of official,
Mhm.
and your name goes up in a kind of global leaderboard. But more importantly, a local leaderboard where you're just ranking yourself against the local community. And so far, I've never met anyone that's actually like competitive in the sense of they're like being a jerk and they want to be like beat you at it.
Mhm.
Everyone's just trying to play their best game and have a good time with everyone else. And also, the best players that I work with that are state champions, they'll teach you how to play the game and become as good as them.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone in the community that's a jerk. So Cody, that's and Sawyer, these are two top players. Ashley's also really good. Top players in Iowa. They went on to the state championship this last year. It's always right in my town, so it's so crazy, and they've been doing it for like 10, 20 years. It's like I didn't even know, right, that like these state champions, and it's like $1 to enter, or some of them. I went to one this weekend that was $21 to play, but it's $1 for the IFPA, and the $20 is divided between player one, the top three basically. So no one makes any money from these tournaments, at least that I'm involved in. It's just the top players get the pool.
Yeah.
It's just an incentive to
Have you
try to
placed in
win,
the top 3 in any of those yet?
So the top 4 is the final round. I have made it to the top 4. So
Oh, cool.
I made it to the 4th one time. This last game that I played on Thursday, it kind of sucks. I had to leave, so I didn't rank very well, and then I couldn't play the next day. My daughter needed something, so I had to rush out. So I actually got a really low ranking this last pinball tournament. Yeah, it's what I've learned is I think everyone would enjoy it if they give it a shot. I would say don't feel timid to join a tournament. I'm sure you'll find some great, awesome people. B did that. He got second place in his tournament. He said it was a blast. And finally, last thing I would say is like it's a great way to learn how to kind of level up in your pinball journey, because again, I've seen players come in, even me, I sucked, and I'm like, there's this moment where you're playing against 4 people and you're like, man, I suck. And I'm like, how do I get better? And someone's like, hey, okay, so the secret of Jurassic Park is this. You want to aim for this, you want to aim for that. And you're like, oh, let me try that. And then you get better. Or they'll be like, what you need to do is work on your slap saves. Or what you need to do is focus on like just holding on to the ball. And I'm like, how did I do that? So the game is over, the tournament's over. And like this guy, Trevor, is like, we're literally playing a game and he's like teaching me all of his stuff. And so that 30 minutes, like after a game where we're all just hanging out after the tournament and everyone's just kind of like teaching each other, that's priceless. And then you play the next pinball game and you're better.
Yeah.
And you have more fun. You have more enjoyable time. So
and you're meeting some great people too, probably making friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
Yeah,
I'm going to take your advice and get in one of the local tournaments here to see how much I like it. Because I've not entered a tournament yet. I play quite a bit of pinball when I go to the barcade, but I've never played for competition like that.
Yeah, it's a little socially awkward at first, I think, because it's like you don't know the people. I've done is every single time I play with something, we use a match system, so you know everyone else's name that you're playing with, and you'll notice like, okay, that's a girl, so that's probably Stacy, and I know that person already, and okay, this person must be Dan because I've never met him, and I'm just like, hey, I'm Justin. Shake their hand, and they're like, oh, I'm Stacy. Oh, good to meet you. And I'm like, oh, where are you from? And next thing you know, you're striking up a conversation, having a good time.
You have to pay attention to the Ocho and see if they have any kind of like national tournament on there.
Very cool. Well, a lot of Stern talk tonight, which is good. I enjoy that, especially with you, Justin, because you have a passion for that stuff. So it's good to hear you talk about it. I did want to get a couple more subjects in right before we close the stream, real quick. And this was first Glenn's switcher. I have the iArcade. Do you have an iArcade, James?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have one though, right, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Have you done the mystery encoder mod?
No, I haven't done the mystery encoder mod.
Okay. Have you heard about this Viper board and the switcher that's coming?
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in doing that possibly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If it makes it turnkey, simple, and easy, I'd be in.
Yeah, basically what it is, it's a switcher system where you can switch between the iArcade board and Glenn's Viper board. But what we learned on Friday is you can pretty much use whatever you want. You could put a Pi 4, a Pi 5 in there. It's up to you what you want to put in there. But it'll come with the Viper board, which is his. I think I'm going to hold off on the switcher because it looks like it's quite a extensive and time-consuming install. It looks like you're having to unplug things and take things apart and in order to install this thing. So I'm going to kind of sit back and watch and see people's videos and reviews and see how difficult this is before I get the switcher. But I did notice he does have the Viper as well. If you just want to get the Viper board, it's only $40, and that'll probably be what I do to start out. Is just get the board, load that with the games, and play that a little bit first. But I wanted to point this out to everyone because the pre-order started this week. So if you guys are interested in going to get this, Thunderstick Studios has a pre-order for the Viper board standalone or the switcher, which comes with the Viper board. So that'll be interesting, and it ships in July. Pre-order right now.
Did you do the mystery encoder mod?
I did, yeah. So that's why I have Tapper playing on here right now, is because I can pretty much load whatever game I want onto it with the mystery encoder mod. And then I got Glenn's ultimate control panel. So I have the trackball, I have the spinners, I have premium buttons and sticks now, and it's great. I mean, it's a great multi-cade the way it's set up now. And I can pretty much put whatever I want on it. So I don't know if I really want to put the Viper in that. You know, it's like, I think this is enough. I may put the Viper like in this Marvel Superheroes that has Pi 4 in there right now, and just swap those out depending on how easy it is to load games onto this Viper and what, you know, send-in light gun setups they have for it. And there's a lot of people like behind the scenes that are making images and stuff for this Viper, and I want to see how cool that stuff is and play around with it, you know, and do whatever I can with it. So
do you find yourself playing it or the ALU more?
I still play the ALU more often. Something about the ALU, it's just so big, it's so wide, it feels more like a real arcade, and the ability to plug the computer in and do the OTG, it opens up my whole Steam library to it, and that's where I spend most of my time. But there is like once a week or once every couple of weeks I'll stand in front of this iArcade and play it for about an hour. And it's a lot of fun, and it is a great multi-cade. It's one of my, you know, favorite arcades. But still, the ALU gets the most play by far. It's my workhorse, like I said earlier. It's like I'm putting that thing through its paces for sure. One other subject I wanted to discuss. You had posted this image on Facebook. This is the leak or the teaser from New Wave Toys. This is going to be announced, guys, on Friday on Kicking It Old School, episode 104. Shiloh is going to be a guest on his show. So the 17th, here in 5 days, they're going to announce this new product. And this is our teaser for it right here. Do you guys want to speculate on what you think this is?
I mean,
what do you think, James?
Well, so I made that video mainly because of the rumors Michael B said, right? Michael B heard that they were making a Golden Tee. I mean, if it is just a piece, which I think this is the first time they would have only shown just a piece, right? Normally they show what they're releasing, so this would be a first if New Wave Toys has said, "Oh, here's just one piece of what we're going to release." You know, maybe it's not even the. While I put it on that Golden Tee 4, the Golden Tee 4, what looks like a control panel is actually more rectangular, where this one there's clearly a lift, right? You have a flat base, and then the back is higher than the front. To me, it looks like something you set on your coffee table and play more than anything. But you know, we can hope for a near full-size Golden Tee. Or maybe it's a 1/6 scale Golden Tee. Who knows?
Yeah, I've heard that it could just be a piece of a larger, you know, arcade, and that's just the game deck. Or it could be a standalone game deck, and it's like a full-size like tabletop, and you plug it into your New Wave Toys. Like I heard K-Fox say tonight that it could be a standalone game deck that plugs into all their arcades. That would be really cool. And you have swappable controls that you can take in and out of it. Glenn's products that go in and out of it. I think that would be really cool. There's so many different ideas out there. No one knows what it is, so it's always interesting to hear. But I think probably the most likely, and what I think it's going to be, is Golden Tee as well. I heard Kevgret put out a video this week, and I watched his video, and I heard him say it's going to be Golden Tee 4, and that would be really cool to get some like premium controls and be able to play Golden Tee on like a tabletop like this Golden Tee Go.
Yeah. And let's face it, Golden Tee 4 is the one we really have nostalgia for. Arcade1up's is very early on. I think, at least the first ones I ever played were Golden Tee 4. More, a little better design, more three-dimensional. I think when they started, I don't remember which 4 version it was when they introduced tournament play and playing online and all that stuff. Those are the ones I think people are more nostalgia with the backspin and the flyover where you can see the, your route to the hole. That's the better game. But, based on what it is, like, this would be a strange deviation for New Wave Toys if it's just a control panel, because they make replicas and it's a replicade. So, seems
and
odd.
it's made in partnership with GRS, which his whole business model are bringing us these premium controls that we can swap out. So it's going to be whatever it is. It's going to blow our minds. I know that because nobody has any idea of what it is. And just watching Glenn's show last Friday, how he was teasing us and like making fun of us and our pretty much on our speculations. That leads me to believe this is something really big that they've achieved. And we're going to be surprised on Friday, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super interested because we all want competition for Arcade1up, right?
Yeah.
So the question will be, what if it is another 1/6 scale thing? Are people just going to be really disappointed? Or is it, because I think if it was a 1/6 scale Golden Tee, I'd still be, that's really cool, especially if it connects to a TV, like all the other ones.
I thought too, with the Akari Warriors that came out, his controls, you have that, James. Maybe they do an Akari Warriors 1/6 scale arcade with a game deck that comes with it, with those controls. You can actually play it.
That would be, the shape isn't right if that's Akari Warriors. I'll say that because the Akari Warriors is in that HS5 kind of style. That's what it was released in. I wanted them to make a full scale, since he had the controls already, it seemed easy. Go make a 7/8 scale Akari Warriors, which I came to the conclusion they weren't doing that, which is why I'm building my own. But I held out for a long time in getting Glenn's stick because I was like, that's what they'll do because it makes the most sense. He's already got the work done. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're doing something else that we'll really be excited about once they announce it. But,
and you own quite a few New Wave toys, James. Justin, do you own any? You don't have any yet? Okay. I just got into it within the last year, and I only have 3 of their products right now, but I'm going to continue collecting them. I know, James, you collected a whole bunch of them during that scratch and dent sale.
Yeah, so that's honestly, I have enough toys, so I didn't go out and buy them originally. But yeah, when they did the scratch and dent sale, it's like, man, I can get all of these for like the last several years for $70 a piece. I just bought every one of them.
Yeah, and all of them came in really good condition too.
It said they'd be missing packages, missing components. Half of them had never even been opened. They were brand new.
That's awesome.
One was missing the manual. And then the final one, which was the Super Ghouls and Ghosts, they had emailed me ahead of time and said, hey, there's something wrong with it. Do you want to cancel the order or, we'll give you a $30 coupon? I was like, just send it anyway. I'll hang an out of order sign on it and it'll just look cool. And when I got it and fired up, it works fine.
That's awesome.
There was nothing wrong with it. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah, you took a risk and it worked out.
It worked, yeah. So,
that's awesuen.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
the only thing I have is the Coke machine.
Oh, you have the Coke machine?
That was the one I legitimately bought because I needed. First time I saw it, I was like, I had to have the new Coke, so I bought that.
Yeah, I got the new Coke. I haven't even opened it because it's already on eBay for like double what it was for sale for. It's like $300. So I'm just gonna collect it, keep it sealed, and maybe it'll be worth like $1,000 someday. Because new Coke was, like a thing for a short period of time. It's got a lot of collector value, and I don't know if they're ever going to bring that back. So
I think what could be cool is if imagine they sell a 1/6 scale, a 1/6 scale Golden Tee, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be cool. But also it has a control deck that. So imagine you're like, okay, for $150 you can get the miniature version. Pay another $150 and you can get something that it's
like
the
a
deck.
pedestal. It's a full size
Right.
control.
So that's
panel for your
USB, and then there's HDMI to your TV. So if you still want the little decoration thing, you can play it on a little tiny one. But also you can hook up the accessory and play it on your TV. Like it's just
that would be.
you get it all.
I think that's what we're doing.
Maybe that
or
is
something,
what they're
you get all
doing.
of
That
it.
would actually
Maybe.
make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's
all
what we're
I did
getting.
was combined all ideas into one. That's all I
because
said.
they've released the second controllers several times, right? Like the 1943 and stuff, like even Street Fighter, right, had the extra controller, so that would actually make a ton of sense.
Yeah, and if it's like full-size controls, I mean, that's going to be direct competition for Arcade1up and AtGames and all those companies. It's different idea, but similar controls.
And that may be why he said it's a new thing for him, because it's a USB trackball as opposed to, the direct wired stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's done trackballs before, so everybody going like, "What? That's not new."
Yeah, I love his light-up trackball he threw in this Ultimate Control panel. Yeah. It's a little smaller than the ALU, but it plays great. It's got a lot of spin to it, and the light-up feature is pretty cool on it.
Yep.
But we'll know soon. It's not we don't have to wait long, guys. We're only about 5 days away from the stream happening, so this week will be fun to hear more speculation and ideas, and then Friday we'll be able to figure this out. And looks like James got up for a moment, but we're going to be wrapping up the stream anyways, guys. So I really appreciate everyone joining us, and this has been a lot of fun. Do you guys have anything you want to share with the audience as it regards to your channels? Anything? I know Console Kits has been shut down. Do you have any plans on coming back, Justin, or anything you want to tell anyone?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. I don't really have anything to announce right now, but I'm going to do things. I will say one thing. My goal is to increase the level of hate that people have in the community for me. It's just not quite. I thought that maybe shutting down my channel would increase the hate to like 200%. It didn't work. So Kevgrat, you're in the chat. I'm disappointed in you. You need to increase your hate even more. Like, I literally shut down my channel so you would hate me more, and you don't. It was like meh. So, anyway, so I am thinking about redoing my channel. It's probably I'm an anti-YouTuber. It's why I have completely black in the background. This is my trial. My goal is to recreate my channel under the brand that my views don't matter. That's a pun on the concentration of having views, like subscriber count. So my plan, I just don't know how I'm going to brand it, is to come back and make content, and I will never look at my numbers again. I will never look at studio. I don't care about the chat. I don't care about my subscribers. I only care about conversations like we're having right here. And so if you want to come, when I do come back, I invite anyone to come and have a conversation. And my plan is to just, whatever your opinions are, that's great. Let's talk about them. Let's have a good discussion. Other people want to watch that, great.
Yeah,
probably no super chats, no monetization. Because guess what? I don't care about, you should not care about my views. I don't know. I think a lot of people too
in YouTube, they get really wrapped up, like you said, in the analytics, the subscribers and the money involved and all that type of stuff. And it would be nice just to do this as a hobby and not worry about that stuff. And,
that's right.
And I think if that's going to make you happy and you can enjoy making the content that way, then you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, of course, everybody's, when you start this stuff, you're looking at the numbers because you're judging whether you're successful or not.
Right.
But I've watched enough YouTube for quite a while that I decided when I did it, I don't really care. And so I make what I want to make, and that's why you see goofy ass shit where I pretend to be Santa Claus for an hour or whatever,
Okay.
because I don't really care if anybody watches. I'm
Or
gonna
you
talk
did a
about what I want
stream
to
of like
watch. I
all
hope
these
people
arcades
watch.
that were not coming that were
Yeah,
like just made up.
yeah. Like that's why I mix in AI or hey, check out this cool new camera thing I got, or I think this is really cool. Just stuff I find interesting because that's what I watch. I watch random stuff from all, whether it's the Y files telling you stories about UFOs and then why they're all bunk at the end. Like, I just watch a plethora of nonsense because I find it entertaining. So I like to play around and do different things to see if I have fun doing it, just as a creative outlet, right? To me, that's the most
Absolutely.
interesting thing to keep doing it. And
Yeah.
I've heard lots of people talking about just uninstalling YouTube Studio. Don't even have it on your phone. Get rid of it. Don't pay any attention to that. But I got up because of this, so hopefully, this isn't like what GRS and New Wave Toys are coming out with. This is the numbskull 1/4 scale trash can. They pushed this out as a joke when New Wave Toys did the non-playable pinball, and so they just did a meme where they're like, "Hey, get our new 1/4 scale trash can fully playable," and then they actually made the stupid thing. But
Oh my gosh.
it didn't come in any package. It was just in a box, and it's essentially a PVC pipe. They just 3D
Oh my.
printed an ashtray. So they
It's
spent like
hilarious.
no
I-
money, but it didn't cost very much. But I thought it was pretty funny, so I picked one up.
But yeah,
That's pretty
talking about
awesome.
YouTube, when I started my channel, I started because I was listening to people like you, Justin, and I wanted to meet people and I wanted to make friends in the community. And I knew probably one of the easiest ways was to create a channel and become more known
Right.
to the
Yeah.
community. So that's
Right.
why I got into it. And I want to keep that, idea and that goal
Right.
in mind and not let all this other stuff distract me like you were talking about.
Right. Yeah, I'm there's another piece to it that I want to mention though. I don't know how to solve the problem yet, and that's why I've been thinking about it for a long time. I will say real quick, I've been spending the last 3 months, you know how like if you're trying to get your debt in order, have you ever been in that situation
Hmm.
where maybe you're in debt, so you're like, oh, okay, so how do you solve that problem? You start figuring out, okay, this is my mortgage, this is my car payment or whatever. Those are the most important things. And then all these other things that are unimportant, you can see if you can get rid of. That's essentially what I've been doing, but with time, not money. And so once I started organizing that together, I realized, YouTube was taking up a lot of my personal time, but not only just the time of making the content, the time thinking about the content. So I wasn't always present because I'm in my head kind of thinking, oh, what if I make a video like this? What if I make a video like that? So just like when you're trying to solve your debt problems, you're just kind of like, oh, cut the credit card. That's why I took the channel down.
Hmm.
And so because I got to the point where I was actually enjoying to talk about drama, and I was like, wow, that's going to occupy a lot of my time if I do that. So I don't want to do that. So I cut it down. So as a result, I found a whole bunch of time and did a lot of great things to it. But back to my original point was, I don't know how to solve this problem, but it's something I'm going to try to invest time in. I want to figure out a way to destroy the stigmatism of, I don't know, XYZ YouTuber only has 300 subscribers, but this other great YouTuber in this community has, I don't know, 200,000 subscribers. So therefore, the 200,000 subscriber YouTuber has a more important opinion. Sets me that someone that is new to the game or someone with only like 100 subscribers is not being listened to. And people literally all over social media will be like, well, he only has 100 subscribers. Or they'll be like, well, I respect this guy because, he's got 100,000 subscribers. And I'm like, and it's not about me being jealous about that 100,000 subscriber. It's really like, why is everyone having a bad opinion? Why are we even talking about rating people
Hmm.
based on their subscriber growth? How
Rather
about,
than
hey,
just listening for what they're saying.
yeah, just
Yeah.
listen to what they're saying and just stop focusing on their so-called success and being like, I really like that guy's opinion.
Hmm.
I really
yeah.
like that. I just he made a really good point. That's the end of it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that, but I'm gonna try to
honestly, that's one of the things that attracted me to the, like this Arcade1up community, for lack of a better word, home arcade, whatever, is that it seemed like, unlike any of the other stuff, and there are certain channels like I watch every single day outside this community. It's like me and my wife watch, a live show that takes place every night. I watch it every single day for several hours, couple hours when I get home from work. And but they don't even have a community like that. It's in the home arcade community. It's like the same group of people watching all the different channels and having all the conversations together, and any one of them says, "Oh, I'm just going to jump online and start producing content," and they do it. And that's honestly why I started doing it, because it's like, hey, everybody's just kind of doing it and hanging out,
Yeah.
whatever. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a cinematographer, so here's a chance to play, right, and just
Hmm.
do
Right.
this stuff outside of my profession, and just kind of just play and do whatever. And here's a group of people all just hanging out and going from channel to channel, talking about what interests them. and
Yeah, and
and
I'm one of
that's, I think,
those.
is very
I
unique in this community, like
I watch
in home
everybody pretty
arcades
much.
specifically.
Yep.
I'm probably in the chat more than I am creating content. I'm like watching other people more than I
Yeah.
create my own stuff. Because I'm like everyone else in the chat. I enjoy the community and being part of it and knowing what people are up to, and are they having a good day, or is there something I can help them with, whatever. So and I talked to a lot of people outside of YouTube through Facebook and on the phone, and made a lot of friends. And like in Cleveland, we had a great time. We had a really good time in Cleveland. I'm hoping we can recreate that in Chicago this year in October, and get everyone together again, because that's what it's really about for me. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in October. That'll be a really good time. I know Biggie and I hung out a little bit when we had a chance in Cleveland, and that was a lot of fun.
yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And your love for music, it was great to see you there jamming out on the guitar.
yeah,
Well, that was a good time. I forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah. Kevgret made an actually good comment here about how it's hard to make content, balance family life and gaming and everything else, right? And so, for me, that's very real. I have two little kids. I have a few older kids, but I have two really little ones, like Cornercade does. So I don't, that's why my stream's at 9:30 at night. I don't,
Yeah.
I spend time with them, and only when they're in bed and we ain't got
Hmm.
anything else going on do I think about YouTube or mess with it all. So, I mean, of course, you think about it a lot, but
So that's what I've been working on lately is I'm trying to come up with a strategy where the content that I make forces me to, and I don't have it all figured out yet, but I've been chatting with Mason Conrad's a really good friend of mine. You guys probably know him for doing
Hmm.
art, and we've been discussing this for a while. But basically the concept is like, how do I formulate a way where I can make content, and then when the camera's off, it's
yeah, just
literally off.
Hmm.
compartmentalize. And I've never
Yeah.
me that's how I mentally work anyway. Like, I can definitely compartmentalize. So, like,
Hmm.
with my job, a lot of people go nuts with the stress, but as soon as I leave work, I turn it off. Like, I don't think about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so, um, unless obviously there's something going on, but for the most part, I can turn it
Sure.
off. I'm out of work. I'm not thinking about work. And so it's easier for me to do than I know it is for a lot of other people, because it's just how my brain works. Other people I know will think about and dwell on things, and I can just fortunately shut it off, good and bad, right? Because I tend to do that with other things in my life where you don't want to do that, right? Because that's just how it works. My brain works. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to try to find that, um, that balance and things like that. I would say, like, if it wasn't for AI, right? A lot of these I wouldn't be doing hardly any produced videos because it takes so long to edit. But, with the right AI tools, I can, quite honestly, Michael B made a comment about me cranking out that review in one day. Well, it took most of the time to shoot the B-roll, but to do the editing took hardly any time because of the editing AI tools that are out there now, right? I can
Hmm.
edit by a transcript and get things exactly as I want without cutting clips, moving clips around. I'm just going through a transcript and deleting, oh, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I want this to be over here. And it
Mhm.
just does it all for you.
Oh, that's cool. I've not
And
done
then
that yet.
yeah, and then you can
Yeah.
make music and make the music like, I like this song, put it over the whole remix it over the whole track, you know,
Mhm.
and it'll do that and make it all match, and then duck it so that it goes up and down when I'm talking. You know what? It's like 3 clicks and you're
Yeah.
done. You know, so the tools, like, can really speed that time up, and
I
it
need to learn that because, like,
yeah,
when I
'cause
do
Yeah,
editing
you're gonna have
reviews
to
and
teach that.
stuff,
You should make a video on that.
yeah. I took your video on the artwork, that website, and
Yeah.
I actually went and did it and used your steps.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, if you make a video on the video editing, I'll be there watching and learning. So that'd be a
I'm
good
starting to
video.
think James is AI right now. He's not even present in this in this.
Maybe.
There's an AI right now doing the entire thing.
Yeah, I get that crap at work a lot too because they needed a picture of me, a portrait for a board meeting, and, I didn't have one. I didn't have a recent headshot, and I didn't wanna go take one, so I just generated an AI and sent it to 'em. Of course, they all knew.
Well,
Well, it's probably part of your persona a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Even at work.
Certainly
Yeah,
is now
makes
because
sense.
I, you know, go around educating people on AI all the time.
well, we're getting almost to 2.5 hours, which is a longer stream for me, but I've had a really good time. But to just kind of
me
wrap
too.
things up, James, I know your channel is growing. Is there anything you want to tell everyone in the audience on things upcoming on your channel?
Sure, I just, again, wanna thank you for having me on, and I do a live stream every Saturday at 9:30 Central, so that's
Okay.
9:30 at night, so
Yeah, I've been watching your live streams. I missed it last night. I guess you had to reschedule, but I'm always there
Yeah.
on Saturdays. I was interested in your topic you were going to have as well.
yeah, so that's an example of, like, I'm just gonna talk about what I wanted to talk about. It wasn't really about home arcades. I wanted to talk about, you know, the culture of negativity that's, you know, people talk about it just in our community. It's in all of them, right?
Hmm.
And how certain people, it just, the bigger you get, the more you draw that, and it's pretty interesting. You know, some people you can see. You know, I specifically chose Phoenix Resale on there because he has, like, there's whole Reddit channels on hating him, right? And
Hmm.
he's just some young dude who's made his life reselling video games, found a niche, and his channel is all about teaching other people how to do it. But for some reason, it's brought a lot of people draw hate on it. His whole
Hmm.
channel's dedicated to hating this guy on YouTube, and you know, it's just interesting that that happens, and you you know, a side community builds up around somebody that is just, you know, all the negativity. And I just wanted to explore those topics and how they get there. But I've been battling a sciatic nerve problem so in my leg, and it's been killing me. And so last night I just couldn't. It was it was pretty bad, so I didn't want to. I
You
didn't want
feeling
to go
better
sit in a
today?
chair. Yeah, today's been better, but it's the last several weeks have been rough. Like, my streams have been kind of wonky because it's killing me standing up when I was
Hmm.
doing some of these editing things and stuff, or building that, trying to get the GRS and retro stuff working. So I haven't said anything about it, but ended up canceling it because I just needed a break. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Well, I'll tune in
it's
next
always fun.
Saturday if you're going to be
Yeah.
having a show next Saturday. And Jason put your channel in there, so definitely go
Appreciate that.
subscribe.
Jason's the
If you
man.
guys are rewatching this, I know we get like 3 or 4 times the amount of people rewatch the stream than watch it live. So if you guys have watched this entire stream, definitely go check out James Hates Everything, subscribe, and check out Justin if he does something here soon. He may have an announcement for us soon on his new channel. So
Excellent.
appreciate everyone. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night and a great start to Monday morning. Make it a good week, guys. And I'll see everyone in the next one. Talk to y'all later.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Yeah.